1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We hit 1,000 new YouTube subscribers, and that was the deal. Once it got done, we were going to destroy the Carson Wentz poster. All right, Weekdays, Purple Drinkers, this is for you.
Yes!
She did.
Yes!
All right, now Perloff, here you go.
Carson is not crumbled.
Not going down.
Okay, ready? I'm going to go like Office Space and do it sort of with the other end of the bat.
Whoa, yeah. You just give it the rip?
Yeah, rip it.
I feel like rip.
Maggie can't rip it.
I can't rip it.
All right, let's both of us try.
Okay, here, wait, you try.
This thing is tougher than the actual Carson Wentz.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Feels so good to be back. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. You guys were holding it down last week while I was on vacation, so thank you for that.
I heard you had an explosive vacation.
My kid had explosive diarrhea. We'll get to that a little later on in the show. Yeah. Anyway, I come back and it's like nothing ever changes because I'm coming back to Dak Prescott being in the news. We'll get to our great debate series, which continues on this week. But we got to get to Dak and the Cowboys because this was fascinating. Dak has a way of talking about the team in a way that I believe, in a way that I buy it when he's saying it. I don't think he's being nefarious. I don't think he's being underhanded. I just don't think he's being accurate. And he's talking about the 2023 Cowboys, the upcoming season, and the fact that at the end of this month, he's going to turn 30.
Wait, just out of curiosity, does sometimes when quarterbacks speak, do you find them to be nefarious?
Well, Tom Brady said he lies about everything, so yes.
Nefarious. Okay, so he's basically saying something about the wanting to win for the team, and you're saying you buy it in this case.
Well, let's take a listen. Here's Dak. He's about to turn 30. He was asked now that he's going to be joining the 30 club if he's feeling any extra urgency to win.
1,000%. Yeah, I mean 1,000%. Not only that, just injuries, understanding what I've been through throughout my career, and understand that the time's you don't have forever to play this game, and I'm blessed for each moment that I get, each opportunity on and off the field, and just trying to take the most of it, but definitely with a sense of urgency.
Okay, I get all that. I can buy all that. I don't think he's saying anything that maybe he doesn't believe. The problem is it's just not true. Where's the urgency? This might be the best team that the Cowboys have put together in some time, Perloff, but what's one thing I've learned about Jerry Jones and I've learned about the Cowboys?
What's that?
They are loyal. They are loyal, and they are building a team that is ready, in theory, to win now. Dak Prescott's not going anywhere if they don't win a Super Bowl. Let me repeat, not going anywhere if they don't win a Super Bowl. You think they're going to start over now with a new quarterback? Definitely not taking a draft pick. And then secondly, you're not going to go out to the open market. You're not going to get a big enough upgrade over Dak if you go to the open market. Who are you bringing in? Baker Mayfield? He's not going to make it better. You're going to try to bring in Kirk Cousins? That's not a significant upgrade. So I don't buy any of this. Even if Dak means it deep down in his heart that he feels urgency to win, there just is none. They will run this team back the same way, even if they lose in the playoffs or don't even make the playoffs.
You don't love anyone as much as Jerry Jones loved Tony Romo. He would talk about Tony Romo, go to bars in Dallas, just talk about how great Tony Romo was.
Yeah.
And guess who he kicked to the curb? Prime in the middle of his career for Dak Prescott, Tony Romo. He kicked Tony Romo to the curb, brought in Dak. He'll kick Dak to the curb. He'll have no problem doing
I don't know if you're remembering exactly how that happened.
He loved Romo. Romo got hurt, and he said Romo's coming back. And then Dak was good. He's like, well, maybe not.
Romo never played again. That was a debilitating back injury. It's not like Romo went on to the Oakland Raiders and played 5 more years.
Because they kicked him to the curb. He wanted to come back.
He could have signed with any other team. His back was so bad, he couldn't play. And that was the most fortuitous thing that dropped into their laps. They took Prescott in the 4th round. Nobody thought he was going to be what he is now, a top 10 quarterback-ish.
So last year, by the way, it got a little dangerous. Cooper Rush came in after Dak hurt his finger in week 1 against Tampa Bay.
Right.
Cooper Rush came in. You don't think that people were calling, saying, ooh, maybe it should be Cooper Rush. They'll find somebody, and it doesn't have to be a first-round pick. Look, Dak was a 4th-round pick. Romo was undrafted. I don't know that they've never really drafted a guy up at the top 5 or anything. Not for years and years and years.
Well, Aikman, obviously.
Yeah, right. 1991, 1990, or not actually 1989 or something. Yeah. So anyway, they'll find somebody, and they haven't extended him yet. And Jerry's getting more and more impatient. So I think McCarthy's gone if they don't win this year. And I don't think Dak is settled at all. I think Dak's going to be great this year.
This is the show bet. This is the show bet of the season.
They don't make the playoffs. I will bet you anything.
That McCarthy and Dak are both out. I would bet my house on it.
Bet you anything on McCarthy.
Okay. I don't even think McCarthy's going to be out. You want to know why? Because they just fired, they parted ways with Kellen Moore. He's now going to be with the LA Chargers.
Right.
But I'm looking at last year. What was wrong about the offense? 4th in points per game. They were number 1 red zone scoring offense in terms of touchdowns. They were 4th in terms of touchdowns per game. They were 5th all in the league, 3rd down conversions. This was an offense that worked until they ran into, the 49ers.
Yeah.
49ers were excellent, and if Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, maybe it's the 49ers in the Super Bowl and not your Eagles.
It was turnovers that killed the offense. And part of the reason was because the receivers kept bobbling everything Dak threw their way. And also, there was a lot of leads that they had problems with because the running game was a little hit and miss. The offense was good last year, but the turnovers killed them. The other thing is they just have to avoid San Francisco in playoffs, and they'll get where they want to go. They actually did better against San Francisco, their first loss, the one where Dak let the clock run out.
Yeah.
They did way better than Aaron Rodgers did. At least they were in the game. That's tough. Jalen Hurts, by the way, did nothing against San Francisco last year in the playoffs. I know they won 31-7. That defense is insane. So I don't think you can judge it for that. I think you and I do differ a little bit. I'm getting the sense. I think Dak is closer to elite than I think if he has 35 touchdowns and 10 picks this year, everyone's going to say, he's like an MVP-ish kind of quarterback.
For the purposes of this argument, I'm 100% on your side. And that's why I don't think anything's going to change. Because I think he's like top 10-ish quarterback. So if you want to say that's elite, it's like on the fringe of elite, whatever, in semantics. But that's not enough for Jerry to move on.
No. Well, why would you move on from a top 10 quarterback?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So he's saying he's feeling the urgency to win, and I'm saying that's all crap. You don't have to win. They're not moving on from you. And that's the thing that really stinks for Cowboys fans, because even Cowboys fans who love Dak Prescott, I'm right.
Wait, I don't know what you're trying to say here.
I'm saying that Dak is feeling the urgency to win.
Right.
And I'm saying it doesn't matter if they win or not. They're going to run this whole thing back again and again because they can't start over with a young quarterback, and getting someone on the open market's not going to be better than Dak Prescott.
So you're saying
this is all just horse.
You're saying this competitive NFL quarterback, when he says, I feel a lot of pressure to win, he's lying because he knows he's going to come. Not lying. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. Even if he's coming back, you feel competitors at that level feel so much pressure to win. Even if you know your job is safe, you still feel all that pressure. Josh Allen knows he's back in Buffalo. He's got to be feeling more pressure to win than anybody.
Yeah.
Dak's coming back, but the pressure is still there because he's competitive.
Okay, that's fine. That's what I'm saying. He might believe this. I'm sure in his heart he does believe it. That doesn't mean it's true. It's not true.
But he is under pressure. He'll get destroyed by everybody if they don't win. He's going to get a lot of, he might not lose his job, but trust me, life will not be fun for Dak Prescott if they stink.
How? He's going to get a contract. There's no way that he's not going to get some kind of extension. I don't know what it's going to be. It might not be like $1 gajillion. It's still going to be a very highly paid.
But where's the contract then?
Well, I'm not worried about that.
I would be.
Well, I'm not. But we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Listen, the last time the Cowboys made a gamble against Dak Prescott and thought, let's wait this out.
Yeah.
They ended up losing. And Dak won in that contract negotiation, partially because he got hurt and the Cowboys then stunk, and it gave him all this leverage. The last time they took on Dak and tried to call his bluff or whatever, the Cowboys ended up looking silly. So I don't think how does he look bad if he doesn't listen to sports talk media, if he's not on social media?
Oh, Dak.
Then what's he going to hear it out in the public?
No, Dak is aware.
Nobody's going to say anything to his face.
Dak's a very public person. He's got a million commercials out there. Yeah, he's also, too, it's because I think he's a Cowboys, popular team.
Sure.
He knows he's the focus of attention. Last year, he took so much heat. I think
he couldn't stop throwing picks.
Well, yeah.
And then it was all forgiven after the win over Tampa Bay.
I think if Dak has another year like last year, I actually think he's gone. And I think McCarthy's definitely gone. If they have a losing record, he's definitely
gone. Can I ask something? So before the show, Perloff and I were just chatting about some stuff. We were chatting about Victor Wembanyama. And forgive me, this is going to seem like a pivot, but it's not.
Yeah.
And you said, I would drive to San Antonio if he wins Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
In that you don't believe he's going to win Rookie of the Year.
I'm positive he's not going to win.
And you would drive to San Antonio.
I will drive. That's a bet I would easily take.
Can we make this a Texas two-step?
Yeah, what's your bet on this?
So I think McCarthy and Dak are both back, even if they don't win the Super Bowl.
No. If they have 12 wins, yeah, they're both back. If they have I will bet you, if they have a losing record, I will bet anything McCarthy's
They're not going to have a losing record. Like that's unless something drastic happens, a huge injury, which we'd write off the season anyway.
Oh yeah, well if they win 12 games, of course they're back.
I'm talking about playoffs, but no Super Bowl, which is exactly where they've been.
Yeah. No, playoffs. I think they have to have double-digit wins. Like they can't get
double-digit wins. Fine, they get 10 wins.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's their projection anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to bet. Of course, if they get double-digit wins, they're fine.
Okay, then there's no urgency.
But there is urgency. But it's not guaranteed that they're going to get double-digit wins. Like they have a lot of pressure. It's not that easy to win 12 games every year, Maggie. You make it sound like it's they're
a good enough team to have double-digit wins. They added
they
Gilmore.
are, but they're not like they're not the '90s Cowboys. Like it's a little thinner, I think, than you think.
This is a great team. On paper, this is a good team.
Is it
good to great?
Is it?
Well, let's see what they do.
I mean, the Pollard's coming off a major injury. They don't have a lot of depth of running back. They have CeeDee Lamb, and now they have Cooks.
No, they got our guy Deuce Vaughn. They drafted him.
Deuce gone in the 5th round. I'm just saying.
Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb is a true number one. Your offensive line is good. You have Ferguson, and then you drafted a tight end in the 2nd round, so you're obviously high on him. You got Dak. You even have the high-end backup in Cooper Rush if he has to miss a couple games. You've got Tony Pollard, as you said. Defense, they go out and they sign Stephon Gilmore. You still got Diggs. You still got,
Parsons obviously is
Parsons
the key.
is amazing.
But the offensive
probably
line,
going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
The problem is the offensive line. You had about 9 different alignments by the end because everybody kept getting hurt. They're getting old in the tooth there. There's a lot going on.
A guy coming off his rookie season at left tackle. He did great.
Tell you, okay, which is a better team, the Eagles without Jalen Hurts, that roster, or the Cowboys without Dak Prescott?
Well, I mean, probably the Eagles. I would give the edge slightly.
Oh, come on. Come on.
212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I think that should be the bet. That I do not think the Cowboys will move on from Mike McCarthy or Dak Prescott. I would say almost under any circumstances.
Well, see, that's where I want to pin you because there's no way that's true. If they're 8-9, McCarthy is gone.
Under any circumstances. That's what I'll bet you.
But I'm not going to make you drive
to Dallas and San Antonio.
If they have a losing record and McCarthy is back, I will drive. I'll do 2 separate trips. I'll drive to San Antonio, drive back. But first of all, Wembanyama he's 0 chance of winning Rookie of the Year.
I think this is our Texas road trip here for Perloff.
But you think he'll pull the Jason Garrett days are over. I don't know why. I really feel like Jerry's getting super
Dan
patient.
Quinn's already in the building?
I think Jerry hit 80. I don't think he's going to mess around here.
I disagree. 855-212-4CBS. We're going to nail down the details, but this is going to be a show bet that does not involve food.
All right.
Unless Stu wants to eat a loaf of bread.
Well, by the way, I mainly want to go to San Antonio because there's this incredible taco place that I know that every time we go
to drive across the country to get.
I am telling you, first of all, the tacos in San Antonio are worth the drive.
Yeah.
Texas, yeah, Dallas. I mean, Dallas has great food. Are you kidding me? Pecan Lodge barbecue. But
I
I'm
do
not going
love
to
that place.
I'm not going to make either of these drives because I'm definitely winning these bets.
855-212-4CBS. We got to nail down the Cowboys one. We're going to get some language together. We'll write it up, put it in paper. The Wemby one's a little more obvious. I don't think he's winning Rookie of the Year either. And I'm not making the drive with you.
Can you believe? Are you surprised? I know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that he's still a heavy favorite? Because Scoot Henderson played one game, and the Portland Trailblazers guard. It was very evident that he is the Rookie of the Year, and somehow Wembanyama is still the Vegas favorite.
Yeah, because he's the 7'5" freak of nature.
Yeah, with all the headlines. Yeah.
Of course. Okay, got a lot to do, including the great debate series that continues. Now, I'll tell you the theme this week. The first week, we did the top 25 athletes since the year 2000. The second week, we did top 5 greatest sports movies, and we did it by sport. Baseball, boxing, football, basketball, and then best of the rest. We took a hiatus last week. We're back this week. This week, the Great Debate Series is the greatest teams of the last 30 years. And how we're dividing this up is each day we're going to do a different sport, and we'll do a top 5 list. Now, unlike the movies where Perloff and I both had our own lists, this is Maggie and Perloff versus the world.
Yeah, official show list.
We came up with this list. We argued over this list. We were on the phone for like 2.5 hours.
I barely slept last night over this argument.
I have so many just teams going through my head. So this is top 5 best today baseball teams of the last 30 years.
Maggie's house in Jersey it's like a beautiful mine. There's OPS numbers written all over the windows in chalk. It's terrible.
It's crazy. I have never thought this much about the 1995 Cleveland then Indians ever in my life. Serious deep dive on the 97 Mariners last night. I mean, all of it.
Can I just tell you, one of the funny things about doing this list with Maggie is almost impossible for her to contain the list of 5. She's like, what about this team? What about this team? What about this team?
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, you're at 14 already.
Impossible. This is so hard. Top 5 greatest baseball teams of the last 30 years. So the great sports debates will continue. Just give you a layout for the rest of the week. So today's baseball. Tomorrow's going to be college football. Wednesday will be NFL. Thursday is going to be NBA. And Friday will be college basketball.
Ooh.
Changing it up a little.
So if you hate Duke, tune in Friday.
So that's kind of the vibe for the week. We're going to reveal our top 5 greatest baseball teams of the last 30 years next.
Let's go.
Okay, let's do it. Maggie and Perloff, so glad to be back on this very busy Monday. We will reveal our list in just moments. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're enough. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. It's great to have Maggie back from vacation, but it's going to get ugly, I think. It's going to get ugly really fast because we had a lot of people who called in and had issues with our top 25 athletes since 2000. I think we're going to even have more people off this list. We're going to do the Great Debate Series. Today we're doing the best teams of the last 30 years by sport. The reason is because there are not 5 great teams in all these sports. There are at least 7 or 8. So that means someone's getting left off.
Oh, my gosh. And we wrestled with this. So we did put a lot of time and a lot of care into it. Without further ado, let's go.
The Great Debate Series. Best teams of the last 30 years.
And today we do baseball, Major League Baseball, top 5 teams of the last 30 years. So if you're playing at home, that's 1993. I don't know about you. Every time someone says 30 years ago, I'm like, oh, 1975. Like, nope, that's wrong. 1993 to the present day. That's what we're talking about. So let's get going.
Let's hit it.
Number 5 on this list, the 2017 Houston Astros.
3-2 to Springer. Shot into left center field. Back at the wall. It's gone. Springer stays hot. And it's 5-0 Houston here in the second. He's homered in 4 straight games. And it's a 5-run Astro lead here early in Game 7.
And George Springer went on to be the World Series MVP. Now,
interesting choice of audio because you could have gone with the boom, boom, Altuve is up, long drive. There's something missing from that audio. That was a cut too close to the home run. You didn't hear the garbage can.
101 wins. This team beat the Red Sox in the divisional series, the Yankees, the Baby Bombers in the ALCS, then beat the Dodgers in the World Series in a Game 7. You remember Justin Verlander was traded in a late trade. It was like an August trade. He ended up winning ALCS MVP. Dallas Keuchel's on this pitching staff. Charlie Morton was excellent in the World Series and in the playoffs. Lance McCullers, Ken 100 Miles Giles was closing games. This is Pete Correa. This is the Altuve MVP season. I already mentioned Springer, Bregman, Gurriel. Did they cheat? Yes, they cheated. Are they the only team in history who's ever cheated? Are they the only players who have ever cheated? Absolutely not. And the fact is, they got better in 18 and 19. So even if they were cheating, they got better after they got caught and then could not cheat again. So,
wow.
Was their success based fully on sign stealing? No. You can't say that. You might not like that they cheated, but you can't say the success was only on the garbage cans and the sign stealing.
Yeah, but also, too, you don't know for sure that they didn't cheat after that. They didn't even get caught till when did they get caught?
2020.
Yeah, so
they investigated back through 18. I think
18 they got caught too.
It was a little gray area in 18, and then 19 they were fully clear.
Right, for that particular transgression. We don't know that they didn't cheat in other ways. I mean, the Patriots have been cheating in different ways for 3 decades.
Yeah, and spoiler alert,
but anyway,
they're probably going to make some of our, when we do the NFL team.
I mean, we should let people in on this. Where no one is debating how good that team is. It's so talented. The question is, do they belong on there with cheating? You said it well. Like, other teams have cheated on here. Listen, this is the last 30 years defined by the PED era. So if we were gonna do them for cheating, then we would have trouble finding teams without a slugger that hit 57 home runs out of nowhere.
Yeah, right. It's impossible. So number 5 on the list, the 2017 Houston Astros. Number 4 on the list, greatest Major League Baseball teams of the last 30 years, the 1995 Atlanta Braves.
The 1-1 pitch. Fastball swung on and belted. Deep right field. Back goes Ramirez. That ball is gone. Home run. This crowd on its feet for David Justice right now. He's letting his bat do the talking. A double and a homer tonight, and the Braves lead it 1-0.
That was David Justice, the home run. They win it 1-0. Of course, you had Tom Glavine pitched a gem in that game. Spoiler, he's going to join us later in the show. He was the World Series MVP in 1995. They won 90 games. And they went 90-54. This was the strike-shortened season. They were on pace for 101 wins. You had Maddox. You had Glavine. You had Smoltz. This wasn't just any Maddox, though. This was, if you could even say peak Maddox, this was his 4th straight Cy Young Award season and maybe his best season. He gave up 8 home runs. 8. His ERA plus was 2.60. He had a 10 WAR. Even if you don't know these numbers or care about analytics, you know that's insane. This was an excellent team.
Yeah.
An excellent team.
It had pretty much almost every position in the field was an all-star, too. Ryan Klesko, remember when he came up? I think he was the number 1 pick, but he was just he was on the scene. Chipper, Hall of Famer. McGriff should be a Hall of Famer. We can debate that. Is Javi a Hall of Famer? Javi Lopez should be a Hall of Famer. I mean, it's
Marquise Grissom, and then we obviously played you at the David Justice call.
Yeah, I mean, that was as a Phillies fan, let me tell you, that team was no joke whatsoever. Just so loaded on both sides. It is amazing they only won 1 World Series.
You want to know what else is amazing? That highlight sounds like kind of old.
It sounded like the 50s.
And
what
that's
was going on there?
Because I don't think of this as being an old highlight. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Top 5 best baseball teams of the last 30 years. Number 3, the 2004 Boston Red Sox. First, let's play the ALCS homer.
Swinging a ground ball to second base. Pokey Reese has it. He throws to first, and the Red Sox have won the American League pennant. They mob Allen Embry on the mound. The Boston Red Sox have pulled the greatest victory in team history. They lost the first 3 games of the series and became the first team ever to win the next 4 and the championship. Move over, babe. The Red Sox are American League champions.
They break the curse of the Bambino. Great call there. Is that Joe Castiglione, of course?
That sounded like the 50s, too.
Joe always kind of sounds
that sounded like it was out of the natural. What's going on here? 30 years ago, not 60 years ago.
So, of course, you have Ortiz as the hero of the ALCS. He's got the 3 home runs in that series. Bottom of the 12th, Game 4 is when he hit the game winner. Bottom of the 14th in Game 5, he drove in the winning run. Manny Ramirez ends up becoming the World Series MVP when they swept the St. Louis Cardinals. You had Curt Schilling. You had Pedro. Did you know that Ortiz and Manny Ramirez combined for 84 home runs that season? You had peak Johnny Damon on that team. They beat Anaheim in the DS. And then obviously the CS against the Yankees came back from 0-3 down and then swept the Cardinals. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, also, too, if you want to do a non-numeric thing, what a team. They did shots before the game, naked pull-ups, all sorts of... Yeah, there was something beyond just those numbers that bonded them together. And just the fact that we're going to use the word resiliency, grit, something to be down 0-3 and not to give up mentally is incredible. That's one of the most amazing achievements in the history of sports.
Yeah, especially considering the Yankees had just done so much damage to them.
Yeah, for a century.
Speaking of breaking curses, we get to number 2 on our top 30 greatest baseball teams of the last 30 years, the 2016 Chicago Cubs.
Here we go, Montgomery's pitch. A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it and throw to Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series. The Cubs come pouring out of the dugout, jumping up and down like a bunch of delirious 10-year-olds. The longest drought in the history of American sports is over, and the celebration begins.
Wow. Curse of the Billy Goat over. They won 103 regular season games that year. Chris Bryant won the NL MVP that year. Rizzo hit 360 in the World Series. You had Schwarber coming back from that bad, devastating knee injury. He hit over 400 in the series, and he had to play the outfield as well. You're talking about an incredible pitching staff as well. I mean, Jake Arrieta, Aroldis Chapman, who they traded for to close out games, John Lester, Kyle Hendricks. How about this? John Lester and Kyle Hendricks were both the first and second runners-up for the Cy Young that year. And that was also one of the most memorable Game 7s, I think, that we have,
Absolutely.
which is the Rajai Davis home run late, then the weather delay, which obviously played into Chicago's hands. It was almost like divine intervention to help Chicago and maybe hurt Cleveland, because that Cleveland team was amazing. So 2016 Chicago Cubs, number 2 on our list.
I think some people forget how good that team was because they were injured, I think, the following year, and then they decided not to pay to keep all those guys around. So there was such a one-and-done kind of feel to it, like the other great Chicago team, the 85 Bears. I think they're denigrated a little bit as a team. They were so good, but they didn't keep them together. So I think we think of them, oh, they won that World Series, but they weren't that good. But they really were that good.
No, they were excellent. I forgot to mention about Javi Baez on that team, obviously. It was incredible. And so they are 2 on the list.
Yeah, their pitching staff was red hot that year, too. These guys who are, not all-time pitchers, too, had career years.
Number 1 on the greatest baseball teams of the last 30 years, the 1998 New York Yankees.
And the 3-2. Swung on it, goes deep to right. There it goes. That ball is gone. A grand slam into the upper deck for Tito Martinez. And the Yankees lead 9-5.
How about that, Michael Kay? 114 wins. Amazing. Beat the Rangers, beat Cleveland, and then beat the Padres, swept the Padres. They went 11-2 in that postseason. What's memorable about this team? A lot of things. 965 runs scored. They outscored their opponents by 309 runs. That's insane. You got peak Jeter, peak Rivera, Jorge Posada. Tino Martinez drove in 124 runs that year. That is incredible. Bernie Williams on the right side of 30 was fantastic. You had a 35-year-old Paul O'Neill hit 24 homers and drove in 116 runs. You had Brocious, Girardi. Obviously, Shane Spencer has his moment that will live forever. And then as your pitching staff, Andy Pettitte, David Wells, David Cohn, El Duque, and, of course, Mo closing out games.
Yeah, I think also they kind of represent that whole era a little bit. And that, in my opinion, that looking back at it, that was the best team of the run. I mean, 114 wins is...
No, I know.
They added all these gigantic contracts and former all-play, but that was the peak of the core 4, and then guys like all the guys around them, all the role players. To me, like that also, there was a couple things about that team. I went to a lot of those games.
Yeah.
We should go up to even the playoff games. The confidence is like they knew they were going to hammer everybody.
Yeah.
Much more so than the 96 team. The 96 team was young and kind of up and coming. 98, they were like, you walk into the stadium, you're like, oh, this team's going to win, no doubt.
I know, but I mean, the 99 team was great. The 01 team was great. The 2000 team was great. You had the 2004 team was great, the one that lost to Boston.
But were they really great? Can you be great if A-Rod is on your roster?
Yes, the 2009 team, which A-Rod basically carried them to World Series, they were great.
Oh, get out of here. A-Rod carried them in the World Series. My ass. There's no way.
He did.
Matsui single-handedly won that World Series.
Okay, Matsui was obviously the World Series MVP, but A-Rod was fantastic, especially slaying the demon of the Anaheim Angels, which had been, as everyone says, House of Horrors for the Yankees. Right?
Oh, my gosh.
So here's the thing, right? We have so many other teams on this list. It's insane to try to come up with 5, but that's what we did. Tell us how you think we did. We're going to recap it for you. Number 5, the 2017 Houston Astros. Number 4, the 1995 Atlanta Braves. Number 3, the 2004 Red Sox. Number 2, the 2016 Cubs. Number 1, the 1998 New York Yankees. Rich Ackerman, how did we do?
I like it.
Do you?
Yes.
You're okay with us putting the 2017 cheating Astros on?
Yeah. Look, hey, they did it again without cheating and with different players, so there had to have been something there. You could have done it, hopefully, or the wish would have been they could have done it cleanly. But look, that team is very talented. There's no.
What about which Yankee team of the '90s would you put on there?
98.
Yeah, it felt a little different. Because, I mean, they won 114 games, but you were there. Like, did that team just feel a little more dominant than the others?
Yeah, what movie is it? Catch Me If You Can. When Christopher Walken says the Yankees always win because everybody's staring at the pinstripes. Yeah. Same thing, I mean, that team had such an aura. They had a combination of things. They had an aura about them. They had this iron will, and they just steamrolled people and didn't care.
There were, so many. When I tell you my house and my brain has just been all filled with baseball teams, I mean, the 2018 Red Sox probably could deserve a spot on this list. They didn't break a curse or anything. They've won more games than any Red Sox team in history with 108. Again, we snub a Cardinal. We snubbed Albert Pujols off of our top 25 athletes since 2000. We didn't put on any Cardinals teams.
That's because there was, in the last 30 years, what Cardinals team were you putting on
the
there?
2011 Cardinals had a pretty incredible run. Pujols, Yadier Molina.
Is that
Lance Berkman, Carpenter?
And first of all, I'm not doing any Cardinals team to beat the Phillies in the
No,
playoffs.
people don't even joke about that. People are going to think we're being biased.
But how many games did they win? The Cardinals were one of those teams who would just sort of dominate in the postseason. There are a lot of those teams, the Cardinals and Giants.
Another one we left off the list.
90 and 72. We left 110 win teams off this list.
So one thing that Perloff and I really agonized over was the 2001 Seattle Mariners.
That's the one. 116 wins is pretty impressive.
But they didn't win.
They didn't win. They lost to the Yankees that year. But, I mean, do you put a 2001 team that won all those games on your list? Now, personally, I think the 1997 Seattle Mariners are the better team even than 2001. Jeff Nelson, who pitched for both the Yankees and the Mariners, is going to join us later in the show.
I think you got to win it to be on the list.
Do you have to, though? It's baseball. It's the postseason can be such a crapshoot.
But now that's more so the case than it was back then.
Yeah.
Also to that that Mariners team they were really good, but they never felt like a real threat to the Yankees. They were 90 and 72, and A-Rod was very young then. It wasn't the A-Rod that we know.
That's what everyone liked.
I love watching Griffey, but it was sort of Griffey and Edgar Martinez, and it just wasn't that great a team. I'm saying you could put together Hall of Famers, but that does not make a great team. I'm sure there are teams with more Hall of Famers that aren't on this list, but just collecting a bunch of talent does not make a great team.
Yeah, but 97 for the Mariners, you still had Randy Johnson on the team. I mean, this was an incredible. That 97 team was incredible. Jay Buhner.
So they won. They were 90 and 72 and lost 3-1 in the first round.
I know, but you win 90 games. That means you're really good.
It's not compared to 116. You're really good, but you're not top five.
So here's the question. Axe said you have to win it to be considered. Does that mean that we can't? I mean, again, this is looking forward later in the week.
Yep.
The 2015-16 Warriors, the 73-win Warriors, and we're looking at the 2007 Patriots.
Yep.
Do you have to win it to be on this list, or can you be a great team that just fell short in the playoffs?
That's Stay tuned to the Maggie and Perloff show.
Yeah. Stay tuned, and you will get the answer to that. Today is baseball, tomorrow college football, Wednesday NFL, Thursday is NBA, Friday is college basketball. Top 5 greatest teams of the last 30 years. All right. Now that we said it out loud, I feel better. I was pretty sick about this last night.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I don't think you have to win it all, but I think in baseball, and in all these sports, college football, by the way, I was looking at it, I think you have to be undefeated. If you lose a game in college football, you can't be a top 5 team. So my point is, you have to have, you have to have almost 100 wins. Like the 04 Red Sox are the one exception on this list, I believe. Who didn't get to 100 wins.
Yeah, they didn't win the division that year.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, to me, that's a little bit of a hard thing.
You just have to break a curse that
I mean,
since Babe Ruth.
If you don't get 100 wins, and you have to break some time or all time involving a goat or Babe Ruth.
All right, how do we do? Let us know. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, the next big thing in sports. Perloff's not buying it. We'll get to that in just a moment after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. 8 sluggers will take part in tonight's Home Run Derby in Seattle. There's one first-round matchup that has plenty of intrigue. The hometown favorite, Julio Rodriguez, squaring off against two-time champ Pete Alonso in the first round, and there's more Pacific Northwest flavor with Oregon native Adley Rutschman, also a part of this year's field.
It's the best, anywhere. I guess besides for Baltimore, Seattle's like the place that I grew up going to, first stadium I ever went to, and so it means a lot. I know a lot of people out there, and so basically home.
He'll be matched up against the White Sox Luis Robert, and the Yankees' Garrett Cole starts the All-Star game for the American League. 10-game winner Zach Gallen of the Diamondbacks earned the nod for the NL. 27-year-old Atlanta native Chris Eubanks upset Stefano Tsitsipas in 5 sets to move into the quarterfinals at Wimbledon, his first top 10 victory of his career. I'm Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, SiriusXM, Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. All right, Maggie, let's hit them again with our top 5 baseball teams of the last 30 years.
Yep, this is the great debate series. We're going to do one sport each day. Perloff and I made this list together. It's Maggie and Perloff versus the world, I guess. You can let us know what we got right, what we got wrong. Number 5 on the list, the 2017 Houston Astros. Number 4, the 1995 Atlanta Braves. Number 3, the 2004 Boston Red Sox. Number 2, the 2016 Chicago Cubs. Number 1, the 1998 New York Yankees. The top 5 Major League Baseball teams of the last 30 years.
I'm already getting some blowback on the 2017 Astros.
Yeah,
no surprise there.
Listen, Stu and Samter are both Yankee fans. I imagine you're slightly offended. I mean, the general manager of the Yankees, Brian Cashman, still talks about how they should have a World Series in 2017 because of the Astros. That's a loser's lament, but I think he speaks for the fan base. I can't hear you, Stu.
Sorry about that. If the Astros didn't win it this year, I'd have more of a problem with it. But the fact that they've won it, 4, 5, 6, 7 years later, kind of, almost makes it like they were a great team. They cheated for sure, but they were also a great team. I think both can be true with them.
And they went back to a World Series and lost to the Nationals.
Well, can I also say the Yankees were also caught sign stealing as well, weren't they?
Different kind of thing, though. It was like Apple Watches and what kind of camera are you using. It wasn't the trash can banging situation.
I don't know, though. Different kind of thing. It's still cheating.
It was a little bit more of a gray area.
No. Did they get fined? There's no gray area. They cheat. They were stealing signs using technology.
So the Boston Red Sox, I believe, got in a little bit more trouble than the Yankees did.
But did the Yankees get banged for something? Or am I imagining that?
They were using one of the cameras from their own baseball network at one point, the Yes Network, to try to steal signs. And they got that was like technically, I don't know if it was actually against the rules at that point. Oh my gosh,
you sound like a Patriots fan.
And then, listen, this happened to the Red Sox too. And then they put the rule on the books and told everyone, knock that bleep off. And the Astros did not knock it off.
So wait, what year were the Yankees doing that? Before the Astros?
Yes.
Okay.
When did the rule come in? Like 2018, 17.
Oh, so the Yankees did not get dinged for that.
I don't think so. Everything was like behind closed doors on what was going on with the Yankees, but I don't think anything ever happened to them. The Red Sox got the Apple Watch situation. I know, Perloff. Yeah, you're making me sound like I'm a Yankee defender, which A, I'm not even a Yankee fan, so why would I defend them? And two, I'm just trying to be as accurate as I can be.
So, but they still, MLB letter to Yankees detailed illicit use of technology prior to the 2017 sign stealing edict.
Yes, that's why the Astros got in trouble. They put out a memo that said, don't do this bleep anymore, and the Astros still did it.
Yeah, also, I mean, listen, the Yankees had A-Rod, so not the good Yankees teams. So
that's
again, there's degrees of cheating with PEDs, which is all over this list from the last 30 years.
Well, that's why we have to put the Astros on, because how are we to say that if you had guys who were taking PEDs on some of these other lists, is that not also a form of cheating? So where do you draw the line? And then when you look and see about the Astros, you know, they were a great team. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's go to Christina. She's in Toronto. Oh, Christina, I have a feeling you're going to tell us who we left out.
You left out the 93 Toronto Blue Jays, the back-to-back Joe Carter's game-winning home run. You never hit a...
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you beat Perloff's Phillies. It's such a good team. It also reminded me of how many great teams John Olerud has been on. He was like on every one of these great teams. You had Roberto Alomar, you had Tony Fernandez, of course, a 34-year-old Ricky Henderson who still stole 22 bases that year. You mentioned Joe Carter already. You had Dave Stewart on that team. You had...
Back-to-back?
Yep, the back-to-back. I know.
There are teams that have done back-to-back, but how many, really?
Also, but wasn't the 92 team a little better?
I believe the 93 team was a little bit better.
Okay. The 92 had, I think they let some veterans go going to 93, right? Like, I know Winfield left. They lost some guys.
Well, 92 team won 96 games.
Yeah.
93 team won 95 games. I mean, they were pretty. I think they were pretty much in lockstep.
Did they trade Joe Carter for a crime dog or something like that? There was a trade.
No, Joe Carter was on both.
Okay.
Yeah. Dave Winfield was on the 92 team. He
sorry.
wasn't on
So at some point, I was just looking at this team. They made a huge trade to get Joe Carter, and then Joe Carter was going to leave right before 93 to go back to the Twins, his hometown, and he did not.
Samter, what do you have for us?
We did have somebody tweet in and say we're forgetting about the 94 Expos.
Yeah, I was trying to pitch that team hard last night.
Because if you want to talk about, okay, fine, the Mariners didn't win the World Series because they lost, therefore they're disqualified. The Expos didn't win the World Series just because of the strike. They had the best record in baseball. They were stacked with so much talent, including Pedro Martinez and John Wetland. That team was loaded. You could certainly make a case. They had the best record in baseball when the strike happened at 74 wins. You can certainly make the case that they were up there.
I know that. Here's the tough thing about it. And I know we put the 95 Braves on there, who also didn't play a full season. They only played, 144 games that year. The strike happened in 1994. The last game they played that season was on August 11th. There's just so much more to go. That's why there was no chance we were putting on the 2020 Dodgers. Like, that's only 60 games. That's nothing, even though that team, on paper, is insane with Kershaw and with Mookie Betts and everything.
I think there's a sentimental reason that people would like to see that Expos team on there because it's sort of the team that got screwed.
Of course.
Doubly because of the strike, but also because they were forced out of Montreal. So I think there's a nostalgia vote, and I'm totally with Mike. I really appreciate that team. Now, you know, if Randy Johnson had been on that team, he must have left a couple years before because I don't see him down there. It's just amazing that the Expos had all these Hall of Famers in their system and they weren't even allowed to stay.
It is a shame. The next time we have our friend David Sampson on, we should ask him about everything that went wrong in Montreal.
Was he part of that team?
I believe he was the president of it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, God, out of here. I always think of him as the Marlins. I did not realize he was. That'd be great because I'm sure the stories. That team. You know, if you're of a certain age, the Montreal Expos were a fixture in your life. They were an NL East team. The Phillies, they were our big rival for years and just disappeared. I'd love to see them get a team back.
Also, you just went to Montreal.
Yeah, and everyone there loves baseball. Loves baseball.
I don't think there's ever a chance they're going to get a team back, though.
Well, there's
been a little talk about it, right?
Yeah, I think it's Vegas is getting one for sure. Then there's another city that's getting one for sure, but Montreal's third, so maybe MLB should expand. What's wrong? They have 30. NFL has 32.
Well, that's what David Sampson told us, and Stu just told me my ear. He started when?
99 with the Expos.
At the very end. So the big thing he said, which is why the Oakland A's going to Vegas, he said made no sense, is that you don't move to your franchise to a place like Vegas. You expand to Vegas. Makes way more sense, makes way more money for all the owners, and he couldn't believe that's what they were doing, and that's they weren't expanding to Vegas and said they were moving to Vegas. Said it made no sense.
Yeah,
which is why he was dubious that this is even going to happen.
Yeah, I'm looking at a list. Portland's on that list. Our buddies at Portland,
Yeah,
Charlotte,
love you, Portland.
New Orleans, Tokyo. That'd be fun.
Best of a 3-game series in Tokyo. Watch it at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. 4-time World Series champ, Jeff Nelson. He was a reliever on that 98 Yankees team. He was on that 2001 Mariners team that just missed our cut. We'll talk to him next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh boy, there's a lot of jelly left. I thought she was making progress. There's a lot of jelly left.
See, I told you.
She needed to hear.
Fake lifelines that you were giving me.
I think this is going to end up worse than the peanut butter challenge, and I was sick for 4 days. Oh no!
I'm like, my hands are shaking.
No, this is going.
This is all the
This
sugar.
is going terribly awry. Do you want to take a small break and then maybe we assess your vitals?
I kind of want to just drink a little water and maybe stand up.
Why don't we
maybe just start running out of the office.
Honestly.
Well,
Real talk here.
That was just
Real
a
talk
really
here.
big bite there.
Can we get some makeup? You look green.
Please don't tell me I need makeup.
That's mean.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
What up? Welcome to the show on this Monday. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff across the country on CBS Sports Radio. If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Make sure you say hi to the Weedos and the Purple Drinkers in the chat. Very nice group. We'll get back to our great debate series in just a moment, Perloff. But while the entire sports world is salivating over finally a good game from Victor Wembanyama. No, not an NBA game, guys. Not an NBA game. Summer League game. So let's pump the brakes.
It's an NBA Summer League. It's sort of an NBA game.
These are guys who he's playing against and with who are barely going to be on the roster. However, he did rebound, no pun intended, with a very good game last night after the disaster performance on Friday, and now one of the most highly touted prospects of the last, since LeBron James, basically, in 2003. Wembanyama's now back in everyone's good graces, except for yours.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's anywhere close. I think once he goes up against real men in the NBA, it's going to be ugly. He keeps going outside and trying to handle the ball like he's KD, and he's not. He's not even close. He's kind of caught in between, Maggie. Is he an outside player or an inside player? He should be an inside player, but he knows he'll get pushed around, so he likes to go outside. I play the same way. I'm 6'4" and skinny. I want nothing to do with the paint. I'm sort of the Wembanyama on my Saturday morning run. He's just not tough enough to really be effective yet in the NBA. No way is he going to meet this expectation.
Okay, well, a little bit different than you. You are 6'4"?
Yeah.
He is 7'5".
Yeah, yeah.
So he's a foot taller than you, but at the same time, to decide whether he's an inside or an outside player, the decision was made for you. You want to know who it was made for you by? God. God made him 7'5", which means you're an inside player.
But he doesn't want to be. He wants to go outside and cross over guys and dribble and do all that stuff.
And that's all well and good, and to have those skills. But that's where the coaching staff comes in. And that's where Greg Popovich, who, by the way, did you see over the weekend, he signed a 5-year deal?
Yes. I think that was a message that, first of all, there's a theory out there that Wembanyama played so bad on Friday night that they had to go and make another headline just to distract people.
Now the Spurs are worried about how they look in the media.
I heard someone say, the Spurs are great at developing big guys, so this makes sense. But what other big guys? David Robinson and Tim Duncan, you don't get any credit for developing them. I don't know. Who have they developed since Tim Duncan? Nobody. So I don't know what that means. I think there's a lot more work than everyone else thinks. He's very, very far away. I know he's 19, but he is so thin, and his game right now, it just doesn't look like anybody who has even a chance to win Rookie of the Year.
Okay, let's switch gears from one very tall person, the 7'5" Victor Wembanyama, to another very tall person. That was the 6'8" Jeff Nelson, who is a 4-time World Series champion, also an all-star right now a broadcaster for the Yes Network, also for the Miami Marlins. So talented. And hint, hint, Jeff, you have made the list, or teams you played on made the list to our top 5 greatest Major League Baseball teams of the last 30 years. How you been?
I'm good, Maggie. How are you guys?
We're excellent. Thanks so much for doing this. And so,
oh, my pleasure.
Let me quickly run down the list for you and any new audience that just joined us. So These are the top 5 Major League Baseball teams of the last 30 years, okay? Number 5 on the list is the 2017 Houston Astros. That's the cheating Astros. Number 4, the 1995 Braves. Number 3, the 2004 Red Sox. Number 2, the 2016 Cubs. And number 1, the 1998 New York Yankees. Gut reaction, how do we do on the list?
Well, I mean, if you don't have the 98 team number 1, I really don't care about the other one. The 98 team is the most important. But, yes, I think you got it right. Although, I don't know about a cheating team being in your top 5.
Well, that's what we want to get your thoughts on, and a few other things, too, which is we've heard from several former players that you would rather, as a pitcher, let's say, face somebody who may have been taking PEDs than you would have facing somebody who knows whether it's breaking ball or fastball. Is that true in your opinion?
I think so. I faced many guys that have been on performance-enhancing drugs. So, the way they used to steal signs and location was old school, whether it was the first or third base coach, if the catcher was opening his legs too far and showing his signs, or the runner on second base. And the way we controlled it is, we threw inside and maybe knocked some guys down. But now they do it a little bit different since all the iPads and the video room is right next to the dugout. So it gets to be, it was, I guess in a way it's not surprising, but because they've involved all this technical stuff into the game. So, it's pretty easy for these guys to figure it out. But I think so. I think I'd rather probably face a guy using PEDs than knowing what's coming.
Jeff, what about the argument that similar team has since won the World Series? So there really was a lot of talent on that team. It really was a great team in a sense.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt there was tons of talent on that team, and they probably didn't need to do what they did, whether it was the video wires and, Altuve taking off his jersey right away, running straight into the dugout, or beating a trash can or whatever. Other teams were probably doing the same thing. It's just that these guys got caught doing it. And, it's a shame that it happened. It's a shame that they got caught doing it, and all of a sudden it became a big deal. But I guess you had to expect it. Like I said, when you have iPads and the video rooms are right next to the dugout because of instant replay, and it's not a surprise that something like this went on.
We're talking to the 4-time World Series champion and former All-Star Jeff Nelson, who was a pitcher on some incredibly great teams, and that's been the source of our great debate series today. So quickly on the 98 team, Jeff, I mean, you guys had to know. Now, you were on the Yankees starting in 96 and were there until 2000. You had to know at that point how good you were, right?
We did. I think we had a little chip on our shoulder from 97 and get knocked down against the Indians. And, going into that year, we were 1-4. I think we were 0-4. We didn't win our first game until the 5th game of the year, and that was in Oakland. So it didn't start out too well. And, all the papers were saying, okay, this might be Torrey's last hurrah. And the next thing you know, we win 114 games. And the funny thing of it is, the last game of the season, so they printed out this team picture of the 98 team, and I think the 61 Yankees. I'm not sure which one. The one that was they kept comparing the 98 team to. They put our record on this before even the last game was over at 113 and 49, and we actually won that game. So that photo it was wrong. So it was interesting that they would do that early, but it was just an incredible team. It seemed like every time we walked out on the field that we knew we were going to win, and if we lost, it was a shock.
Jeff, it's funny. We were looking at a lot of Yankees teams on this list, and there are some teams in the 2000s that arguably have better players. They stacked with Hall of Famers all over the lineup, but they didn't seem like they were as great a team. When you think about what's a great team, is it the best collection of talent, or is there more to it?
I think it's the best collection of talent. I think, sometimes when you have superstars, I think it gets overlooked, and maybe those guys are maybe more of a point of emphasis than just a complete team, and that's what we were. I mean, I don't think we had a guy hit 30 home runs. We had maybe 10 guys hit 10-plus home runs. I mean, our 9-hole hitter, 8-hole hitter, Scott Brocious, had 98, 99 RBIs. I mean, our bullpen was really good. Our starters were great. It was, playing in New York, it was just different because you had Mr. Steinbrenner. We had the media was outrageous as far as the amount that covered us. You had the fans, the expectation level. So it was always, I guess, not stressful, but it was always a must-win every single day that we went out there. And once Mr. Steinbrenner passed away and the media got a little soft, I think, it changed. But I think it was more of a collection of talent than just superstars on their own. I mean, you had Jeter. I mean, we had tons of superstars, but they all played together.
Jeff Nelson is our guest, 4-time World Series champion. He's a former All-Star. We're talking about great teams of the last 30 years, and Jeff pitched on many of them. Now, Jeff, the one team we left out, and we had a very big debate about this, Perloff and I did, is the 2001 Mariners. I mean, to still hold the record, 116 wins, obviously, though, you guys lose to the New York Yankees in the ALCS. Did we make a mistake, or how big of a mistake did we make by leaving off those 01 Mariners?
No, I don't think you made a mistake. I mean, you look at the teams you had. Didn't they win the World Series? All of them won the World Series.
Yeah.
We didn't finish it off. We had a great year, 116 wins. I mean, who knows if that'll ever be accomplished? Maybe 114 may never be accomplished again. But you got to win the World Series to be a great team and at least be in the top 5. They might not even be in the top 10. Hey, if you start going back to some of the Yankee teams that won the World Series way back in the 60s and those years. So, no, I don't think you got it wrong. I mean, we had guys that were inexperienced as far as playoffs. I mean, we had the same feeling as the 98 team. Every time we stepped on the field, we felt we were going to win. And if we didn't, it was a shock. But going into the playoffs, I mean, we're playing against the Yankees, who I was over there in 2000, so I knew what kind of experience that they had, and that experience in the playoffs, I think, is everything.
Jeff, you played in an All-Star game in 2001 in Seattle. There were 8 Mariners on that All-Star team. I just looked back at it, and it was in Seattle, like this week's game. Do you have any memories from that Seattle All-Star game? Something the team you were facing was loaded with Hall of Famers, and I know you pitched. Do you remember anything significant about that game?
Yeah, I just coming over, and I was a Yankee in 2000, and all of a sudden I'm a Mariner in 2001. So I think the Yankees had 7 guys, and we had 8. And both of my managers that I played for 13 of my years was Joe Torre and Lou Piniella, all the Yankee coaches that I had the year before. So I'm going in and I'm saying, hey, this is very the nerves are all gone. I mean, I look behind me, and half of my team or my teammates were behind me. Alex Rodriguez, who I played with as a teammate early in Seattle. I think Cal Ripken Jr. I knew really well. I used to play basketball at his house when I lived in Baltimore, where I grew up. Kirby Puckett. They just televised a little bit of it on the Baseball Network. They replayed the 2001 All-Star game. And, just some of the players, I'm like, oh, wow, I forgot that Kirby Puckett was there. You had Robbie Alomar. I mean, you walk into the locker room, and the nice part of it is I didn't have to clear out my locker. I just went to my old one. But the guys that you're playing with, I mean, these guys are superstars, and it was just an honor. And we wanted to win. I mean, I know it was an exhibition, but for me, I wanted to win. I'm like, I'm not losing this game. So it was exciting.
Jeff, last one for you. And again, thanks for taking the time to do this today. We're talking about great teams. You pitched on so many of them. When the first thing that comes to mind, like gut reaction, when I say the best team you ever faced, who were they?
I would say the Texas Rangers. When I played either in Seattle or New York, when you look at the lineup that they had, when you had Palmeiro, you had Juan Gonzalez, Pudge Rodriguez, you had Ruben Sierra, Jose Canseco, Dean Palmer, I know Julio Franco. That was probably the toughest lineup I've ever faced. I mean, those guys were just, I'm probably missing even a couple of them out there. But it was that was the toughest one.
I know. They just needed you in the bullpen. Probably would have helped them out, and a couple more pitchers. Maybe they would have done a little bit more. Jeff, again, thank you. Jeff Nelson, the 4-time World Series champion, former All-Star. Enjoy the baseball break if you are indeed taking one.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jeff Nelson, who does some studio work and calls some games for Yes Network and in New York, and then also for the Miami Marlins.
Man,
excellent broadcaster.
He must have gotten spoiled being on that Yankees run, going into the 116-win Mariners. He must have been like, this sport's easy. All you do is win.
I think he was part of it.
I know. It's amazing. 114 wins in 98, then 116 wins. That's incredible.
Like, think about it, though. You're somebody who's on all this winning. Like, it's not a coincidence at that point, right? Like, you're part of it. You're part of the winning. It's not just like by happenstance, by circumstance, you're on good teams.
Well,
But yes, he's a relief pitcher, so it's not like he was, playing shortstop.
but
I get what you're saying, but
I just think it's significant. I mean, if you look at the all-time list of most wins, they're really, really high. I mean, you don't get 114 wins, and you certainly don't get 116 wins. So
he's right. Do you think it's ever going to be broken?
No, I don't. Well, didn't the Dodgers get a 111 last year and didn't even do anything in the postseason? So maybe. I do think that's not an unbeatable record.
Okay, we continue with our great debate series, the top 5 greatest baseball teams of the last 30 years. And we're going to do this with another person who pitched for a team that's on our list and had so many near misses as well. Tom Glavine, Braves Hall of Fame pitcher. You put Braves Hall of Fame pitcher here? Little offended by that?
Oh, get at it. Oh, my God.
Dude,
is this a joke?
He pitched in the playoffs for the Mets. That's not a joke. But yes, he's the Braves Hall of Fame pitcher. Just saying, he also had some very nice years with the Mets.
I may or may not have intentionally done that as I was writing the rundown.
Come on. Don't worry. I was never going to try to shoehorn any Mets teams onto this
Braves and Mets Hall of Famer about Tom Glavine.
Dude.
Come on. Nobody in America who's not a Mets fan would introduce Tom Glavine that way.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. He's all-time great, and he's going to join us next to talk about our top 5 greatest baseball teams the last 30 years. Maggie and Perloff, and you on this Monday, don't move. We're on CBS Sports Radio. If you miss any part of the show, feel free to download the Maggie and Perloff podcast. We do an extra shot every day, podcast-only content where we curse like sailors. You can go check that out wherever you get your podcasts. We're back in a minute with the Hall of Famer, Tom Glavine.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. We're having a great time debating the greatest baseball teams of the last 30 years. Yeah, the feedback I'm getting on social is mixed, Maggie.
That's nice. That's kind if it's mixed.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one team that's on there, the 95 Atlanta Braves. No one's complaining about that?
No, not at all. Just to quickly recap before we welcome in our next guest, the Hall of Famer Tom Glavine. So here are the Maggie and Perloff top 5 greatest baseball teams of the last 30 years. Number 5, the 2017 Houston Astros. Number 4, the 95 Atlanta Braves. Number 3, the 2004 Boston Red Sox. Number 2, the 2016 Cubs. Number 1, the 1998 New York Yankees. Let's welcome in the Hall of Famer, the 2-time Cy Young winner. He won the World Series MVP in 95. He was fantastic in the postseason and always. Tom Glavine joins the show. Tom, thanks so much for carving out some time for us today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. So I don't know if you heard our list, but I'd love to know how you think we did on it.
I mean, it's hard to argue. I'm not, I'm not enough of a historian to go back and say, well, this team was better than that team or whatever. But I think that the 5 that I heard you guys mention, I don't think I would have too much argument with any one of them being in any position in the top 5, although that 98 Yankees team was pretty good.
So we put the 95 Braves on there, won the World Series. Was there possibly another Braves team in that era that was better than the 95 team?
I would say if there was, it may have been the 93 team. I feel like that team was pretty loaded. We won 104 games. We had a really good offensive club. I think the problem with us that year was, that was the year we chased down the Giants and ended up winning the division on the last day of the season. And so I think more than anything, we were just kind of emotionally and physically worn out after the chase of the second half of the season. So when we got into the playoffs, I think we were a little out of gas.
The Hall of Famer Tom Glavine is joining us. Am I right about this? Was that Maddox's first year with you guys?
I think you are right about that.
Okay.
Yes, I think that was his first year. Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Braves had success before that earlier in the 90s, but when Maddox got there and you realize, okay, look at what we have at the top of our rotation with Maddox, with yourself, obviously, and then with Smoltz, where you're like, oh, we're gonna win 5 titles.
Yeah, probably some of that. I mean, I think, the ironic thing about that was, that winter, the whole winter, it was rumored that we were going to sign Barry Bonds. And that was kind of the guy that we were going after, supposedly. And it seemed like it was all but a done deal. And I remember going somewhere in my car the night that it was announced that we got Greg. And I was, my first reaction was, first you're like, oh, my God. And second, to your point, you started thinking about, all right, we've got a pretty good rotation already. And now we're adding this guy. Like, this is going to be really good. And, there's obviously excitement with that in terms of thinking, okay, well, yeah, what can we accomplish with this group? And if, we've been pretty good up to this point, where's this going to take us? And, it ultimately led to a World Series. And certainly we probably could have had 1 or 2 more, but it was, it was an exciting time, obviously, but it was also a fun time for us as players, adding a guy like that and seeing what he meant to our team.
I'm just curious, were you friends with Maddox before he got there? And how quickly did sort of you and Smoltzy and the rest of the staff become, famous for golfing together all the time and good buddies?
I mean, I didn't know Greg. I obviously knew him a little bit from competing against him, obviously, and you'd say hi from time to time and things like that. But didn't really know him. But, I think obviously the biggest commonality was golf. And I think that made it really easy for us, not only to welcome him, because, look, it's never easy going to a new team. I don't care how established you are. You got to meet new people, make new friends. You got to figure the landscape out. So I think, for us having that bond of playing golf, I think it made it real easy for him. And it made it real easy for us to get to know him pretty quickly, and it was, pretty seamless and pretty quick that we recognized that, okay, this guy is going to be a really good fit. He's a good dude. He's funny. This is going to be a good situation.
Are all the hygiene stories about Greg Maddox, that's all true, I'm assuming?
Most of them. He denies a lot of them now. He tries to say, it's funny how you're out of the game for 20 years and all these stories, come up or get bigger or whatever. And it's like, no, Greg, most of them are true. You just don't want to remember them.
The Hall of Famer Tom Glavine is joining us as we're talking about the greatest baseball teams of the last 30 years. Now, what I think is really interesting also, Tom, is that 95 Cleveland team that you guys beat in the World Series. That team could have been on this list. I mean, that team was incredible.
They were. I mean, to this day, I still say that's the best offensive team I've ever faced from top to bottom. I mean, you look at that lineup, and there's several Hall of Famers in that lineup. They were stacked, and they were pretty balanced in the sense that, obviously with Kenny Lofton leading off and the threat of the stolen base all the time, then you had virtually everybody else in the lineup could hit home runs. So it was a tough lineup to navigate. One of those as a pitcher. It's the challenge of you always try to dissect the lineup in 2 ways. First and foremost, you're trying to pick out 1 or 2 guys that you don't want to let beat you. Mm-hmm. And then once you do that, then you're looking for outs, So, okay, if I got to walk this guy or pitch around this guy, where am I getting my next out from? And when you can't do that in a lineup, it makes it really tough, because there's obviously a couple, you could easily pick 3 or 4 guys in that lineup that you say, hey, I don't want to let this guy beat me. But then once you identify those guys, like I'm saying, it's like, okay, if I'm going to walk this guy, if I'm going to walk, say Carlos Baerga, okay, well, now I got to pitch to Eddie Murray or Jim Tomei, so it's not like I've severely increased my odds in any way, shape, or form.
So, Tom, how'd you figure them out for that closeout game? I mean, you were brilliant in that game. You went 8 innings. No earned runs, 8 strikeouts. I mean, you were fantastic. How'd you figure them out in the biggest stage possible?
I don't know that it was just really a sense of figuring them out. It was just I happened to have the best game of my life at that moment. I obviously you have a scouting report for teams and certain things you're going to try and do maybe against certain hitters. But look, at that stage of the game, my my game plan was not complicated, right? I was pitching away. I was trying to pitch the contact away, whether it was with my sinker or my changeup. I was trying to make teams have to get 3 hits to score a run, not give up a home run. And so that was, and I'm going to sprinkle inside here and there to try and strike guys out or keep guys honest. So it wasn't that I figured them out, so to speak, or had some complicated game plan. It was just that I executed my game plan that night as good as I could have possibly executed it. And, there's something to be said for timing, right? I mean, it was the perfect time to do it. And I look back over my career. There's probably 2 other games that technically were close to that game, but given the circumstances and the stage and all that stuff, it makes it easy to say it was the greatest game of my life.
Talking to Tom Glavine, Hall of Famer. We're putting together this list, and if obviously it's too premature because it's the All-Star break, but we're watching the All-Star coverage, and this Atlanta Braves team right now, they don't even have their ace, and it still feels like they could be on a list someday of the greatest teams ever. I know they won the championship recently.
Yeah, the 2021 team could be on this list.
I feel like the 2021 certainly, but this team feels even more dominant. I mean, how do you compare the current Braves to some of your great Braves teams?
Certainly right there. It's always obviously difficult to compare eras, I think, but you look at this lineup and like I was saying earlier about dissecting the Indians lineup. Well, that's what the Braves lineup is like, right? There's nobody to pitch around. There's nowhere you can go to hunt for outs when this lineup is rolling, and it's just a really, really daunting task for opposing pitchers to try and navigate through that lineup. And look, they have a nice balance of speed, obviously, with Ronald at the top of the lineup and Michael Harris at the bottom of the lineup, and then they've got that nice mixture of guys who can hit for average and power throughout the middle of the lineup. And, they're rolling. I mean, you're more surprised when you turn on the TV and they lose a game than you are when they win a game. You're almost shocked if they get through the first inning without having scored at least 2 or 3 runs. It's been amazing to watch. And to your point, they've done so much of it without, their 2 studs at the top of their rotation and Max Fried and Kyle Wright. So, I don't know with the trading deadline. I don't know what you could do really to improve this team. I think there are always things you can try to do. But if you're the Braves right now, you're thinking, okay, here we're in this position here. Max Fried, I believe, threw a bullpen yesterday, so he's getting ready to throw another one. And soon after that, I'm sure we'll be on rehab start. So when you get him back, that's almost like you've made a huge trading deadline trade to bolster your club. So, I think that's only going to make them even tougher. But, that offense is it's pretty spectacular, to say the least.
Tom, 2 more quick ones for you. One about Shohei Ohtani. How much longer can he keep this up of pitching and hitting? Obviously, none of his teams are making it on these top 5 greatest teams of all time, but he's maybe one of the most exciting players we've seen in a long time.
I think we've been asking that question about him for a couple of years now, and he only seems to be getting better at both facets of the game. Now, I don't think there's any question that if he focused on one, he would probably be, even better at it and maybe one of the best, if not the best in the game at that particular position. But, hey, when you're producing the way he is on both sides of the baseball, why stop doing it? I think he may have to eventually due to age, but it doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon.
Tom, you're being, by the way, modest. Obviously, if you had known this was an option, because Chick Sick the long ball, you would have been a hitter as well, right?
Of course. I think we all strive to do that and dreamt of doing it. Just he happens to be doing it at a very level.
Tom, last one for you, going back to some of the 90s teams. One of your former teammates, who we don't talk about much when it comes to the greatest teams, but we just talk about him a lot in general, and that's Deion Sanders. When you're playing with him on the Braves, did you ever think, he's going to become a college football coach one day?
You know what? Maybe not, but I think with Deion, you never knew what Deion was going to do, right? You knew he was going to do something. I'm not the least surprised that after his playing days, he went into broadcasting because he was, just very charismatic guy and brought a lot of it. Did. And, he was really good at the broadcasting side of things and breaking stuff down and doing it in a fun way for people to watch. And, I'm equally not surprised he's done well as a coach. I think great athletes have something innate about them that whenever they take on a challenge, they're going to do everything they can to be successful at that challenge. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I think Deion's one of those guys. If he puts his mind to something, he's going to give it his all. He's going to do everything he possibly can do to be successful, and he's done it so far. So it'll be interesting to see with this next jump of his going to Colorado and how that all works out, but I'm not going to bet against him.
Tom, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. Thank you for carving out some time for us. We know it's a busy time, or hopefully you get a little break for the All-Star game, but, a busy time of year always. So thank you, and thank you for lending some expertise to our top 5 list.
My pleasure. You guys have a good day.
Okay, you too. That's the Hall of Famer, Tom Glavine.
Wow. He saw a lot of the great World Series. That was cool to hear. Do you remember the Chicks Dig the Long Ball ad, the Nike ad?
I barely.
Okay.
Really? That's like one of my 5 favorite.
Wait, but who's the star of it?
Maddox and Glavine. They watched Mark McGwire hitting a home run, and then Heather Locklear's in the front row, and she's like, ooh, home run. And they say, oh, we know what we need to do. And then they go through this training regimen, and Greg Maddox is taking a bat and hitting a shirtless Tom Glavine in the stomach with it. And they get these Nike shoes, and then they're hitting home runs, and they go, Chicks Dig the Long Ball.
Wait, no, obviously I don't remember.
I think it's a little before your time.
Too?
It's just a slight bit before your time.
But it's funny because I have a memory of Bo Knows of that campaign.
Yeah, you've probably seen that in documentaries.
Probably.
But Glavine could rake. All those pitchers were such good athletes.
And they're all these great golfers. They have this natural kind of
Maddox
swing.
won every Gold Glove. He was the best fielding pitcher ever. Schmaltz is like a professional golfer. It's really a crazy staff. And I was surprised when he said,
trying to find how many home runs Tom Glavine hit in his career.
Yeah.
1.
It's interesting. He said the 93 team was the other great Braves team. I think in our heads, you make a line before and after that strike in baseball. It feels like that is like a different era almost.
Well, remember, the 92 team was the one that lost to the Toronto Blue Jays. Well, of course, we had a caller who called us up earlier who was upset that we didn't have the 92 or 93.
Well, 92's out of the 30-year range.
Oh, right. It's out of the 30-year range. Yes, last 30. So it was upset we didn't have 93 on. And then didn't the Braves, they lost to the Minnesota Twins in 91. So they had these other great teams.
That was one of the best Game 7s
That's
of all
Kirby,
time.
right? Yeah.
I mean, that was like 1-0 in 10 innings. I don't know if you remember, there was like that Lonnie Smith was rounding second base, and they did a fake throw, and he got held up. He would have scored. It's a whole big thing.
By the way, can we give Rich Ackerman a shout-out? We asked what happened to the 93 Braves, and he said exactly what Tom Glavine said. He was like, Glavine's like, we were chasing the Pirates.
No, the Giants.
The Giants all year long, and we were worn down. When Ack said it, I'm like, I never heard that in my life. But then it was like gospel according to Glavine. Who knew?
Ackerman knows his NL pennant chases.
There you go.
All right, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We get back to our great debate list. Plus, coming up, got some major drama going on with Northwestern. What is the latest on the future for head coach Pat Fitzgerald? Get to that in just a moment. Don't move. Maggie, Perloff, and you, CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Well, the baseball season is on hold for a few days. For the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby precedes tomorrow's Midsummer Classic. Some of the best and brightest young sluggers are featured. There will be a hometown flavor with Julio Rodriguez. The 22-year-old outfielder feels fortunate for the opportunity to put on a show in front of the hometown crowd.
That was a no-brainer. Like, being at home in front of the Mariners fans, it was a no-brainer for me. I feel like this probably will never happen again in my career. So being able to do that for them at the home field definitely will be something that I'm looking forward to.
The Mets' Pete Alonso is back as well, looking for a third title. He'll face Rodriguez in round one. The starters were announced, or at least the lineups are set, but the starting pitchers were announced for tomorrow's All-Star game, and they will be the Yankees' Garrett Cole and the Diamondbacks' Zach Gallen. The Detroit Red Wings have taken a big swing, acquiring Alex DeBrincat from the Ottawa Senators for Donna Kubalik, a defense prospect, and a conditional first-round pick, as well as a mid-round pick, and the two-time 40-goal scorer signs a 4-year extension with the Wings worth $31.5 million. I'm Rich Acker.
Looking for CBS Sports Radio online? Your favorite hosts and the best sports content and entertainment are available 24/7 on social media and YouTube, and in the palm of your hand with the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
country on CBS Sports Radio. You want to watch the show? Come on in. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can find us. The Weedos, the Purple Drinkers, everyone in full effect on this Monday as we kick off another great debate series this week. We're doing best teams of the last 30 years. Today we started with baseball. Let me just run through the list for you because Perloff and I got together on this one. We didn't have competing lists like we did for our great sports movies. This one, we put our noggins together and we came up with 5.
Yeah, now we grinded.
Much debate.
We grinded. Not because we were fighting against each other. We just wanted to put more teams on there.
I know. So here we go. Well, so maybe we play the music. Let's do it.
The Great Debate Series. Best teams of the last 30 years.
So, of course, today, baseball. So, number 5 on the list, the 2017 Houston Astros. Number 4, the 1995 Atlanta Braves. Just heard from Tom Glavine. If you missed that interview, go check it out on our podcast. Number 3, the 2004 Red Sox. Number 2, the 2016 Cubs. Number 1, the 1998 New York Yankees. There were a Toronto Blue Jays team that was left off this list. There were multiple Cleveland teams that were left off this list.
That didn't win, to be fair.
No, they didn't. But we'll have that conversation because I don't think you need to have one to be an all-time great team.
I do. I think if you're doing just 5 is not a long list. If we're doing the last 30 years, I think, oh boy, I love those 07 Patriots. But generally, I think winning the World Series is what defines a baseball team. If you don't get over that hump, then something's wrong with you.
I don't know if something's wrong with you. I think maybe some playoffs are a little bit more of a crapshoot than others. Like, okay, so we'll tell you, we're doing baseball today. Tomorrow's going to be college football. Wednesday is going to be the NFL. Thursday is going to be the NBA. And Friday is going to be college basketball. There were great college basketball teams that didn't win it all because the NCAA tournament is just bananas. And sometimes you don't win. Baseball playoffs can be extremely fluky, especially now.
Well, I mean, college football, there are a lot of teams that are just have a collection of NFL players. That doesn't mean you win anything either. I mean, I understand, but this is rarefied air, though, Maggie. We're not talking about just good teams. We're talking about all-time great teams.
I know. Are the 1997 Orioles not an all-time great team?
No.
They definitely are.
The 1997 Orioles, is that the team that had all the 20? No, there's nothing. That is definitely not a great all-time team.
How about the 2004 Yankees, the ones that lost to the Boston Red Sox that were up 3-0? That's an incredible team.
Without, they had a lot of skilled players, but they had zero heart, obviously.
Yeah.
If you could measure heart, if there was an analytic for heart, they had a minus 50 on that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wait, by the way, who was on that? Why'd you bring up the 97 Orioles? Is that had like everybody in the lineup hit 20 homers or something crazy like that?
The 97 Baltimore Orioles, I'm so glad that you asked because I looked at this roster for a long time last night.
Okay.
So they lost the ALCS to Cleveland. This is a team that had Rafael Palmeiro, Roberto Alomar, Cal Ripken Jr. They still had B.J. Surhoff, Brady Anderson. They had Mike Mussina as the top of the rotation with Scott Erickson, Jimmy Key, and Randy Myers had 45 saves that year.
Yeah, but
this is a great team.
Are all those players at their peak at this point? Probably not.
Okay, then why can I interest you?
Was Cal Ripken still good then?
Yeah, he was still good then. I mean,
I don't think he was. I mean, he was in 1984, Cal Ripken.
Cal Ripken hit...
He had 270 with 17 homers and 84 runs batted in.
Okay. So maybe not one of his most phenomenal years.
Well, I think he'd gotten old. I mean, he
was 35 at that point.
Okay. Yeah, but regardless, though, yes.
Okay, can I interest you then in the 1996 Baltimore Orioles? Again, Palmeiro, Roberto Alomar, Cal Ripken hit 26 home runs that year, if that makes you feel a little better. Brady Anderson hit 50 homers. Bobby Bonilla hit 28 homers. Eddie Murray was on that team at 40. He was their DH. I mean, you also had, who did they add to the rotation? Oh, yeah, David Wells was in that rotation. And these are really good teams. They ended up losing to the Yankees.
Yeah, but
the 96 Yankees, the Jeffrey Mayer situation with him reaching over to get the ball in 96.
They had 7 guys with 20 or more home runs that year, that Orioles team.
Yeah, but
it's insane. They should have beat the Yankees that year, except the Yankees were incredible.
You know who the all-time leader, Stu? If you can guess this, we were talking about before the all-time leading home run team of all in the history of baseball. I'll give you a hint. They played the last 3 years.
It's not the 1927 Yankees.
Oh, last year's Yankees?
No, 19 Yankees are second. The 2019 Twins are all-time, and they had like 8 guys who hit 20 or more home
I know,
runs.
but that's because baseball was juicing the balls at the time, and nobody knew what was going on. That sounded weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. The third team is the 19 Astros. The fourth team is the 19 Dodgers. The fifth team is the 2018 Yankees. So don't give me these blockbuster lineups, because hitting a bunch of home runs does not make you a great team. I mean, I like your team. It's my kind of team, but it's not going to win you anything, because if you're hitting all those home runs, everybody else is.
I mean, they still got to the ALCS. All right. Well, I'm not going to win this debate, but I still, maybe not about the Orioles, but
Yeah.
I don't think that you have to be I don't think you have to win the championship to be considered an all-time great team. However, you and I did not put the 2001 Mariners on this team.
Yeah.
And we spoke to Jeff Nelson, who was a relief pitcher on that 01 Mariners team, and he said he agreed with us that they didn't deserve to be on the list because they didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, here's another question for you. Regular season wins, how important should they be? Because you brought up a Cardinals team. The 11 Cardinals won 92 games. They're such a great team. How are they not winning more than 92 games? I hate to say it like that.
Well, they were incredible, and then they had this sort of dip and then got super hot in September. Well, that was the 06 team I'm thinking about.
Well, that team was only won 83 games, which is the least ever for a World Series winner. So how can you be a great all-time team and not be a consistent winner during the regular season?
Well, is there not something to be said about, like, you know, having your best performances in the postseason? Isn't that why we give whole other awards out just for the playoffs?
There is, but then how are you going to knock off a 114-win Yankees team?
Well, here's the thing. It kind of goes sport to sport, right? Does the regular season matter? It actually does matter a lot in baseball, where, to me, the NBA has basically showed you that the regular season really doesn't matter because guys sit out and they don't care.
But how long has it been going on like that? I don't think it was like that 10 years ago.
No, listen, Michael Jordan played every game.
Yeah,
There was a couple years, not that long ago, LeBron James played 82 games a couple years ago.
I think when you're the game changes, obviously. I think that's important. When we get to the NBA list, we're going to have to evaluate regular season totally differently. I think when you're looking at NFL, the regular season win total matters. The great teams obviously are going to win most of their games.
No,
you
I
can't
agree
be
with you.
10-6 and then sneak it in the Super Bowl and be an all-time team.
Yeah, I don't think, but do the Giants make it on this?
Well, no.
They're not going to. But you know what I mean? But the Patriots
No,
could make
that's
it
my
on the
point.
list.
No, I think you have to be on this list. You have to be 14-2 and win the Super Bowl. I'm not going to. Yeah, I hope there are enough teams to get to that criteria.
I don't know if we're going to be able to get that far.
I think the important thing is we have to be consistent. Whatever your theory is, that you either have to win it or you could be a great team that doesn't win it, we have to be consistent. So if you're going to leave off the Mariners, we have to leave off, I don't know if we have to.
The 2007 Patriots? See, I'm not signing off on that. And if this is the committee that's going to be making those kind of rules, I'm just going to walk away. I'll boycott the list because I just don't. You can't make a one size fits all on this.
But nobody ever said, "Oh man, that is the greatest team ever," and they lost in the wild card round. I mean, come on, the two things don't go together.
But people talk about that Patriots team being great and losing in the Super Bowl. That's why the Giants, have this. People talk about the 73 and win Warriors all the time.
And they did lose in the finals too. It wasn't like they lost in the first or second round also.
Exactly.
But but you know that was not the best Warriors team.
Listen, I'm not asking you to put on the Dallas Mavericks that was a 1 seed and lost to the Golden State Warriors, Jason Richardson edition.
But here's the problem, Maggie, and this is my night last night, by the way, guys, just so you know. It's 5. You're like, you would give me, we'd get to our 5th team, and you'd be like, well, what about these 17 other teams? And you're like, and I'd be like, well, yeah, I mean, but they only won 93 games. You'd be like, I think they belong on there. I'm like,
That's like the 2005 Chicago White Sox deserve a conversation.
Do you understand how math works? Top 5. Yes, they're a great team, but that means you have to knock somebody off your list.
Okay, but we have the 04 Red Sox, and we have the 2016 Chicago Cubs. The 2005 White Sox did break an 88-year championship drought. It just they happened to do it the year after the Red Sox broke their drought.
Yeah, no. I don't think we'll ever get a call. No one's saying the 05 White Sox. It just wasn't. Was it that great a team?
They went 11-1 in the postseason. That's better than the 98 Yankees.
Yeah, that team also, they didn't really do much after that. I think that affects how you think about them as well.
It's sort of like a one-off.
How many games did they win that year?
a 99.
Yeah.
It's a good team.
Good team, but 5.
It was a great team.
Who you knocking off for that? No one. That's the point. You can't get yourself down to 5, Maggie. That's the hard thing. And trust me, it's going to get even harder as this week goes on.
This is agony. I mean, I can't even tell if I'm enjoying doing this, but I do enjoy talking about it. So it's very hard.
Tomorrow's college football, and oh man, I was looking at some of the numbers. There's so many good undefeated teams, and choosing between them is impossible.
This is going to be nuts. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, still got a lot to do here, including the latest with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. We got the latest with Pat Fitzgerald and Northwestern. All of that coming your way. Don't move. Maggie, Perloff, you, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining.1 minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Anybody have the financial security that they can do the right thing in that case? Because it's not the wrong thing to keep the ball. That's what most of us would do. Am I being totally
doing the
weak
right
here?
thing is like, going to a soup kitchen or donating to charity. Giving a souvenir to a soon-to-be multimillionaire is not the right thing.
I don't know if it's necessarily the right thing to do to give it back, because if I'm in your shoes, I might keep it. I wouldn't feel good about it. I don't think.
13-year-old Mike Samter is absolutely giving that ball to Derek Jeter or whoever. 40-whatever-year-old Samter. There's
You got a
bills to
mortgage,
pay. You
yeah.
have responsibilities. You've got kids.
Then what are you doing at a Reds game on a Wednesday night? You got all these responsibilities and all these bills to pay.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show on this Monday. So glad to have you, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Across the country, CBS Sports Radio. You want to watch the show? You can. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can find us. And it's funny, this is something with Perloff and I just do not agree upon, which is this new sound that came out from Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott's about to turn 30 in a couple weeks. So he was asked by some of the Cowboys reporters if he's feeling some urgency, presumably to win a Super Bowl, urgency to win. He's already won a lot of regular season games in his career. Urgency to win a Super Bowl now that he's going to be turning 30.
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. Not only that, just injuries, understanding what I've been throughout my career, and understanding that the time's not, you don't have forever to play this game, and I'm blessed for each moment that I get, each opportunity on and off the field, and just trying to take the most of it, but definitely with a sense of urgency.
Okay, he can have a sense of urgency, and he can feel that way, but nothing he's going to do this year is going to change his future and outlook with the Dallas Cowboys. Whether he wins a Super Bowl, whether they don't make the Super Bowl, whether they don't make the playoff, Dak Prescott's coming back, because this is where the Cowboys are at, Perloff. They're too far down the line to start any kind of rebuild. Also, Jerry Jones is always selling, we can win, we're close. So the rebuild thing isn't going to happen. You're not going to be able to have a bad enough record to get a really high draft pick. So no sure things at all in the draft. Certainly no sure things where you get lucky these last couple times with Romo and then with Dak Prescott as either an undrafted or a late round pick. You cannot bank on that. That's not a strategy. And so to me, this screams, whether you win a Super Bowl or not, we're all running this back. So Dak might feel urgency like in his heart, but his job is not going to be at stake here. I firmly believe that. There's no one more loyal than Jerry Jones in this business.
Well, I don't think that's true because he threw Tony Romo to the curb to bring in Dak. The other thing is, I think the old Jerry is gone. I think he's going to operate completely differently. I think he's on he has Mike McCarthy on a short leash. I think McCarthy.
What makes you think that? He loves this guy.
He loves this guy, but first of all, he let Kellen Moore go, who he loved. I mean, he raved about Kellen Moore, sent him, the offensive coordinator, sent him away. And I just think that Jerry Jones turned 80 in the fall. Like, he needs to win now. I think, and you and I disagree about this too. I think Jerry Jones is obsessed with winning a Super Bowl because he hates that those other owners walk into that room and hold over their rings over him, and he hasn't won in 25 years, 30 years. What was it, 27 years? I think that's a huge problem for him. I think he's going to want at least one more ring while he's still the owner. And I don't think if McCarthy's not headed in the right direction, like if they don't make the playoffs, I guarantee I'm 100% positive McCarthy's gone.
He sat there with Jason Garrett, 8-8,
yep,
over and over and over again. And the thing is about Kellen Moore, he kept him. He kept him when McCarthy came in and kept him for years after that.
But Moore was awesome. Yeah, of course he kept him.
Okay, but if Mike McCarthy really wanted like full control of the offense or whatever we think it's going to look like this year, he's the head coach. Don't you think he could have told Jerry, like, hey, I really want this guy to be gone. I want to do what I want to do. And instead, Jerry showed loyalty to Kellen Moore. He was the highest paid assistant for a long time. And I don't know if he still is. And essentially, like, this loyalty thing is impossible for Jerry to kick. So you think
also he's got his side piece sitting there, Dan Quinn.
Right.
You don't think that he happens to have turned down other jobs for a reason? Do you think there's a possibility that Jerry said something to Dan Quinn?
Do you think that Jerry's ever told someone something that maybe wasn't 100% true just to get what he wants? Like, I would tell Dan Quinn, hey, if this doesn't work out with McCarthy, we're going to keep you around, because I'd like to keep him around. The other thing about Dan Quinn is that, have you noticed, not a lot of teams hiring defensive coaches as head coaches. It's rare. Every cycle is basically, 8 head coaches get fired, 7 or 8, and like 1 or 2 defensive coaches.
You tell me Eberflus can get a job and Dan Quinn could not get a job?
I don't know how Jonathan Gannon got a job
because
and Dan Quinn can't get a job.
Quinn was not taking that Arizona job.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But I think I have a difference of opinion here. I think Jerry Jones has changed. I think he's older. I think he's going to be...
He's already in the Hall of Fame.
He's going to be... Yeah, but he does not care. Nobody cares. If you're in the Hall of Fame, people don't care about what they did. They care about what they're going to do next. I think that's the most important thing to competitive people. And I think he really, really wants to win. I think he's going to be much less patient than he was during the Garrett years. Because the other thing, too, Mike McCarthy, I think also Jerry listens to the noise. He hears it. And I think generally the local media is really mixed on Mike McCarthy. And I think Jerry hears that.
I think that Jerry creates the noise because he likes to keep everyone thinking that the Cowboys are just a step away. They're right there. And, to be honest, they might actually be right there. And that's why they're not going to, like, blow things up or start over. Do you think that Sean Payton is a one and done in Denver?
No.
Me neither. So, okay, he's going to fire McCarthy. And who are you going to bring in?
Well, I mean, the dream would be Lincoln Riley, obviously.
Oh, and do we have any idea whether this guy can coach on the pro level?
This is Jerry Jones. He sees a shiny toy out there. He's going to want it.
I know. So what's this? He turned 80. He wants the sure thing. Those two things are competing and they're diametrically opposite.
Lincoln Riley's a superstar, though. I mean,
So is Urban Meyer, and that couldn't have gone worse.
Well, yeah, but that's a little... No, Urban Meyer had gone through a lot by that time. Lincoln Riley, we've never... Urban Meyer had already left the game because of illness and done all sorts of things. I think Lincoln Riley is still very, very highly thought of. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury was the offensive coordinator at USC and got an NFL head coaching job. Lincoln Riley's a head coach. He's about to have an amazing year.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury, by the way, that's not exactly the example I'd hold up to be like, college coaches can do this in the NFL.
Well, we know, but everyone knows there's a long relationship with Lincoln Riley and Jerry Jones. So I think that would be a dream. But I think Dan Quinn's right there, and the defense is going to be great this year, so you could do that. Here's a scenario where I think you and I really differ. If they're 9-8 or even 10-7, go out in the first round, I think McCarthy's gone. I think they need to at least get... I think they need to get to the championship game for McCarthy to keep his job. I really do. Conference championship game.
Yeah, right, the NFC title game. I do not think that, and I will bet you. Now, Perloff has been talking about a certain bet.
I love this bet. I feel so good about this. And Sandra, you're with me too, right? Like you doubled down on this bet with me, wouldn't you?
No, I'm putting all my money, including my life savings, on Wemby for Rookie of the Year.
Wait, but you're the Scoot Henderson guy. You're the Scoot Henderson super fan.
I'm a Scoot Henderson super fan number 2 to Wemby.
What? Are you kidding me? You watched Summer League this weekend? There's no way you think that Wemby is going to beat Scoot Henderson.
Wait, hold on. Let's back it up for a second to let the audience in on this. So Perloff said, kind of casually, but you meant it, if Victor Wembanyama wins Rookie of the Year, I'll drive to San Antonio.
I will. I promise you I will do that.
Can somebody Google how far it is from New York City to San Antonio? You don't get to start in, like, Watertown. So, which about 5 people maybe got that reference.
Wait, I have no idea. Where's Watertown?
It's all the way west. Anyway, you got to start in New York City, and you've got to drive to San Antonio if he does win Rookie of the Year. We're like, well, that's a great bet. Now you start talking about the Cowboys and whether they will or will not fire McCarthy. I'm like, well, now we make it a Texas two-step. So I think McCarthy and Dak are coming back no matter what. Miss the playoffs, win the Super Bowl, doesn't matter.
So if we're talking about from this studio to the Riverwalk in San Antonio, it is 28 hours and 1,800 miles.
You can do that in one sitting, right?
Wait, I have to do
Get
it
a couple
in one
Mountain
drive?
Dews.
Oh, my God.
No,
yeah.
God, no. That'd be too dangerous.
I would. First of all, I love San Antonio because the food there is amazing.
Okay, but do you realize, like, when you're on hour 18, I don't know, are the tacos going to be enough to keep you going?
No, I got to get to the. No, I mean, I think I would have to stop for food somewhere along the way. I'm already scoping out. I'll go right through Nashville.
I mean, are you doing like a pit stop hotel overnight, or are you just going straight through 28 hours?
Can't go straight through. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Too dangerous.
Here's the issue. I actually would love to drive to San Antonio and bill the gas to work. I would love this, but there is no way I'm going to lose this bet. I watched Victor Wembanyama both games. He's not ready physically to play against big men in the NBA. They're going to throw him all over the court, and he's going to stay outside and take these jump shots. It's just not going to work. He just is not even close to ready.
But here's the thing. If he plays the requisite 65 games, which you need to play in order to qualify for the award,
right?
He already has a pretty good head start because of the hype.
No.
You know how these voters are.
Well, Scoot Henderson, the number 3 pick at Portland, he's going to score 24 points a game this year. He's ready to go. He looks like a polished veteran. There is no way that Wembanyama is going to get up to 20 points. He's just not. And you said it yourself. The Spurs are smart. They're gonna let him develop. They're gonna keep him in the weight room. They're not gonna showcase him and get all these minutes. I'm telling you, Scoot Henderson is going to be the rookie of the year unless he gets wildly injured.
Okay, I think Scoot could get it too. I hope he doesn't get injured. I already hurt his shoulder, but they're saying it's mild. Ironically, everyone thinks Wembanyama's going to get hurt. Scoot was the one who left the game.
That's the other thing too. I am worried about his health because he's so skinny.
Wembanyama,
yeah.
So.
Come on,
how do we get the Dallas Cowboys into this bet? That's what's throwing me off.
Well, I feel a little bad because if I'm driving all the way to San Antonio, then okay, how about this? If they have a losing record.
Who? The Cowboys?
Yes. Oh, I was going to say, if they have a losing record and keep McCarthy, I'll drive to Dallas. I'll double down. But where's your drive?
They're not going to have a losing record, though.
You don't know that. It's the NFL.
Not.
Oh, my God. They're not that good. I mean, it's the NFL. Anybody can have a losing record. Mike McCarthy's their coach, Meg.
I mean, Mike McCarthy, we like to clown the guy. He's won a lot of games.
I agree. I think they're very good.
It can't be that they're going to have an under 500 record.
Okay,
I think if they don't make the NFC Championship game and they keep McCarthy and Dak, you've got to drive.
Well, they're definitely keeping Dak because they're going to extend him this summer. It's McCarthy.
Right,
Let's do McCarthy.
The urgency thing is just silly to me.
Wow. Okay, so if they go out in the divisional round, or wild card round, and they keep McCarthy, you're driving to Dallas. Well, I would like to do it. The divisional round is sort of close. That one makes me nervous.
Yeah.
That one makes me really nervous. The divisional round, okay. Yeah, God, that's really tough.
If they make it to the divisional round and they lose, they're not firing Mike McCarthy. And I'll bet a drive to Dallas on it. Although Largent Parks in the chat said he once drove from New York to Dallas, and it was a terrible idea. I didn't ask the details.
You know what's interesting? The Super Bowl is in Las Vegas. Yeah. So I could drive on the way down to the Super Bowl. This is totally stealing a Dan Patrick show.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't you guys already do that?
Yeah, I
think Peter King did this too.
Yeah. No, it's been done many times. Oh,
Meanwhile, nobody has ever eaten a jar of peanut butter or a jar of jelly. That's just an M&P original. When we pay off our bets around here, we really pay them off.
And by the way, there's a reason that nobody did either of those things. These are terrible ideas.
It's awful.
Oh, God. I'm not committing right this second to that. Give me the rest of the hour.
That's fine. I'll give you the rest of the week.
The bet is clearly being defined as Cowboys do not get past the divisional round. Will McCarthy be back? I think that's it. But if it's wild card round, then I'm totally in. If he doesn't get past the wild card round, he's so out, Maggie.
I still think he's going to come back.
He is so out.
I think he's coming back. Wait, let's go to the phones. 855-2124-CBS. Our pal Phil's in Pennsylvania. Phil, did you once drive all the way to Texas in one sitting?
Twice a year. My wife lives down there. She hates flying, so we drive down one sitting, and I drive back.
Wait, why do you do it in one sitting? Why don't you, find a motel and get some sleep?
Because I hate that. Whenever I drive, I just want to keep on going. Granted, it's not 28 hours. It's about 22 to 23 hours, but it is possible.
Phil, how in the heck, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but how do you stay awake that long?
Old Trapper, beef jerky, and Dr. Pepper.
Oh, man. That's not the...
It actually keeps me awake. It took me, I got to around Knoxville, and I was about to pass out, and I got some Dr. Pepper, woke me right up, and I kept on getting Dr. Pepper the rest of the way, and stopped every 200 miles for a bathroom break, and then to get gas the next 200 miles. It just kept me awake the entire time. Just as long as you're high on Dr. Pepper, you can just keep on going.
All right, so Maggie, you know how I do road trips? I always get beef jerky, and I always drink Diet Dr. Pepper.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
You would fill in some kind of club or something in some kind of group text?
No, isn't everybody, the only time you eat beef jerky is if you're on a long car ride, right? Because you pull over into the rest stop, and you're like, I don't know what to get here. And the beef jerky's sitting there, and you're usually, I don't know, something in it calls you.
Yeah.
I mean, would you eat? I would never eat
Phil,
beef.
thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. Thanks for calling in and telling us about that. Talk soon, pal.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
I would never eat beef jerky on a regular Tuesday afternoon. But when you're on the car ride and you pull over at that gas station, nothing looks very palatable except that beef jerky.
Well, I was also telling Perloff that there's something about the combination of a road trip and fast food.
Right,
It's
similar.
just so good. You can eat fast food any day of the week, that's fine. But something about it just tastes so much better
Absolutely.
on a road trip.
I think it's the salt, similar.
Probably like the
I think
beef
you're
jerky.
thirsty, and I think.
So you go Diet Dr. Pepper. I think you got to go Mountain Dew or what, a Red Bull or something like that.
Dr. Pepper is my favorite, just my favorite soda by far. Now they have Dr. Pepper and cream soda combined. I mean, you
You're
talk
in
in my
heaven?
language. Yeah.
Cool. Your birthday's coming up. Can I get you a case?
That's going to get me to Texas.
Okay, Jake's in Indiana. Jake, you got a thought for us?
Yeah, guys. Hey, how we doing? I drove straight from Indianapolis to Austin, Texas in one sitting. It was about 16 and a half hours. Did it there and did it back. So I think a little 5-hour energy, 2 of those, that'll get you the next 5-10 hours from New York. And then also on the Dallas bet, I think the quality of the loss would have a say in the firing. If it's a close game, they might keep them around. But thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Jake, thanks. If they lose to the 49ers, if they lose to a good...
Ooh, that'd be 3 losses to the 49ers. That'd be hard to stomach.
Yeah, but what if that's a 49er team that goes on to win the Super Bowl?
Fair, but I think, that would call for a change.
What if it's a loss to the Eagles in the first round?
Wow, that's tough, too. Yeah.
I don't think you're getting fired over that.
I think you are. I think Jerry's changed.
I don't think you're getting fired if you lose the Seattle Seahawks in the first round.
That'd be pretty bad.
I don't think so. Here's a question about the long driving trip. At some point, though, I don't know a better way to say this. Just your butt hurts.
No, not me. I'm
Nobody?
an
All right.
incredible
I didn't know
driver.
how else
Definitely.
to say this. Thank you.
After 5 hours back from Boston a month ago, and
Agony.
Your butt hurt?
5 hours?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. From Boston on a Sunday? Yes.
I would
absolutely.
still.
I drove
Traffic,
back-
crazy.
The
just
worst.
sitting there.
Drove back from Gloucester, sorry. I got corrected on that many times.
Not around here, you won't.
My butt doesn't hurt. I don't know what you guys are doing. Maybe you're sitting wrong, or
maybe.
So I used to drive up to my old job 2 hours each way. I'm basically a truck driver. I could do this trip in my sleep.
Yeah. No, you did drive a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the butt could hurt, but not 5 hours. You need a good double digit for the butt to hurt.
Yeah, 5 seems a little thin.
I used to, when I lived in Arizona, I would drive from Arizona back to New York and vice versa.
How many days, though? You didn't do that straight.
No. I did that. I would stop in Oklahoma, then I would stop in Chicago. So I did in 2 or 3 days.
Right.
But I would still do 10, 12-hour, spots. And, you stop for gas, you stop for food, but that's about it.
Man, I just don't think Stu and I are cut out for life on the road.
Clearly not.
No.
Yeah. And
This
Mike,
all sounds awful.
Did you relate to the beef jerky thing, or you stop at the gas station and get beef jerky?
I eat beef jerky every day of the week. It doesn't matter. There's actually beef jerky in the vending machine. I was looking for a couple $1 bills so I can get special beef jerky out there.
Lucky Stu.
That is not.
He gets to ride shotgun on
by the way.
inhaling beef jerky in a closed room together.
Listen, Stu and I are going to race you guys down to Texas. You guys take one car, Stu and I get the other car. Beef jerky's everywhere. It's going to be a mess.
Mike Sanders' love of beef jerky. I did not have on my bingo card for today's show. But
Really did. Thought you were more of a
Come on, Macho Man Randy Savage. Snap into it.
Thought you were more of a combos guy. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, so we'll get all the details, but somebody's driving to Texas around June. This is going to be a long bet to pay off.
I'll volunteer to drive to Texas. You're not driving to Texas.
I can't make it.
You just you're complaining about a 3-hour ride. You're barely going to get to West Virginia.
It's hard for me to just sit here and do this show for 3 hours a day. I'm thinking about getting a standing desk. 855-212 if I wasn't insufferable enough. 855-212-4227.
If you get a standing desk, I'm gonna call into the show to yell at you. I mean, that would be ridiculous. That is actually McAfee stands and it's pretty cool. Pat McAfee.
Yeah, just like I don't know how I can't do sitting for that long. Anyway, 855-212-4227. The bet. We're gonna get it worked out. Also, the great debate series continues. We see you guys on the phones. Ooh, this. Okay. We got someone calling in about a team that Perloff and I did not put on our list. So we'll get to that. We're doing top 5 greatest baseball teams of the last 30 years. Tomorrow, college football. Wednesday, NFL. Thursday, NBA. Friday, college basketball. Okay. A lot more to do. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff. CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Today's question comes from Kevin in Iowa. Are you going to watch more Wimbledon or All-Star Game activities this week? Ooh. You can submit a question by tweeting at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. All right, more Wimbledon or All-Star Game festivities. No, wait. All-Star Game is the home run derbies tonight.
Yes.
And
the All-Star Game's tomorrow.
And the Futures game was yesterday?
I think it was 2 days ago.
Okay. So is there any other do they do a skills competition? Is there anything else going on here?
3-point shooting competition? Not this year.
So, okay, so we got 2 days of All-Star Game versus a week of Wimbledon. You go first.
2 weeks of Wimbledon. The fortnight, remember? Forgive me. I'm getting a little sick of watching Pete Alonso in the home run derby as a Mets fan, considering he's won exactly one playoff game as a member of the Mets.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a crap if you win the home run derby.
Well,
it's cool, fun. Trey Mancini should have won it 2 years ago when he was coming back from cancer. It was a way better story. Pete Alonso's great. He gives the money to charity. He does all the right things. I love rooting for him as a fan, but just it's enough. When you haven't won anything and you're on this team with all these expectations, maybe sit this home run derby out.
Yeah, I think winning the first one's cool. Now it's
Second
just like,
one,
what's he adding to his...
He's going to get a third one, so you're going to be known more for winning home run derbies than you are for winning, playoff series.
Yeah.
Again, he has won 0 as a member of the Mets. Now, it's not his fault that he's won 0, but nonetheless.
Yeah, and also, too, with this particular All-Star game, the thing about Ohtani's not pitching. That's going to be a bummer.
And he's not doing the home run derby either.
The second most exciting player in the game, or maybe first, Ellie De La Cruz will not be there.
No. Can we? Let's play the Ellie De La Cruz. This was amazing.
Yeah.
I had never seen something like this before. Guy steals all 3 bases in 1 inning. Let's hear it.
He takes off again. Pitch down and in. Fade throw. There's no chance. 2 steals.
Knowing that if he got a jump,
he's going home. The throw. He stole home. The most thrilling man in baseball stole second, third, and home.
Amazing call, too, by John Sadak, Bally Sports.
That Brewers pitcher, I mean, he stole third, then he walked about 10 feet past the base. The Brewers pitcher just looking at him, then just turns around like nothing's going on here. That was odd. I was wondering, have you guys ever seen anyone steal a base with the pitcher turn his back like that? It's probably happened.
No, I'm just thinking I've never seen somebody steal second, third, and home in the same half inning.
Well, and the third and home was
basically the same
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, he's incredible, but he won't be at All-Star Weekend.
Oh, you want to know why we've never seen this happen? Because it hasn't happened since 1919.
Yeah. Oh,
I remember that day.
Oh, yeah.
But I will tell you,
Wimbledon's chill in the air.
Wimbledon's got an ace in the hole. See what I did there? And I love this guy. Another tennis pun. Hello. Is this mic working at all?
Yeah, geez.
Yeah, there's there's a smashing success.
Stop. He's a
Am I
writer.
making a fault, Maggie? It's not my fault. Okay.
No, I'm about to punch you in the net.
Let's get a handle on this thing because I'm making a racket here. Okay, Chris Eubanks.
Too much.
is a American player who has never been good. His highest ranking ever was number 43.
That's awesome, by the way, to be top 100 in the world.
Now he's quarterfinal of the Wimbledon. He beat Stefanos Tsitsipas in 5 sets today. Watched the whole thing. So Eubanks went to Georgia Tech. Has never been that good. He's been sort of a lower tier ATP players. He's 6'7". He almost left last year, almost retired to become a broadcaster because he's really good at talking about the game.
Yeah.
He's 6'7", so apparently he almost retired, but he decided to stick it out, and now is in the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, which is crazy above anything he's done. So, yeah, I think if he continues to go, then I think Wimbledon's going to beat the All-Star game.
Let's hear from Christopher Eubanks.
I feel like I'm living a dream right now. This has been absolutely insane. When you paint all of the context, I've tried so much to block everything out and just focus on the next match, as cliche as it sounds, but hearing you rattle off all of that stuff, man, it's surreal. It's unbelievable. I can't believe this.
It's awesome. I can hear him being a broadcaster. I get that. Sounds like Russell Wilson a little bit to me.
Yeah.
But
no, he can work a mic for sure.
Yeah,
Everyone there at Wimbledon loves him. He's very, very tall. Now, I think he's going against Medvedev next. And
that's tough.
You don't have to know a lot about tennis to know that you don't want to go against Medvedev.
No.
You better be
That's
on
what everyone says. That's what they say.
Game, set, match. I'm trying to think of more tennis puns, but I think I used them all right there.
Thank God. Well, that was your favorite part of Wimbledon so far. I think my favorite part of Wimbledon so far is how unusually drunk the crowds have been. And this was an actual thing that was said by the chair umpire to the crowd the other day.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you are opening a bottle of champagne, don't do it as the player is about to serve. Thank you.
Oh, don't you love that? That's from an Australian umpire. John Blom is looking after this match.
It's the most Wimbledon warning I've ever heard.
Come on, you hyenas. Get it together over there.
Yeah.
Thought you're supposed to be classier than everyone else. Meanwhile, you're popping champagne bottles while someone's about to serve. I mean, that is bad form.
A little different than Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, where we would throw batteries at the opposing team.
Santa.
Excuse me, Philadelphia crowd, would you please stop throwing batteries at the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, it's like, is this thing on? Excuse me, Philadelphia patrons. Please stop pouring beer on the Dallas wives and girlfriends.
Well, the greatest speech ever, though, was former Bengals coach Sam Weiss saying, hey, let's not act like that. We're not Cleveland. That was an all-time
I know. Boomer Esiason works down the hall, was on that team.
Was he on that Bengals team? Oh, that's great.
Very cool. Okay, we've been going through our great debate series. Top 5 greatest teams of the last 30 years. Today, we did baseball, or doing baseball. Our top 5. Stu, can we play the music just one more time?
The Great Debate Series. Best teams of the last 30 years.
Here we go. We did baseball today. So number 5, the 2017 Houston Astros. Cheating Astros. Number 4, the 1995 Atlanta Braves. Number 3, the 2004 Red Sox. Number 2, the 2016 Cubs. You see our theme with curse breaking. And number 1, the 1998 New York Yankees. Now, Sean is calling from Oregon. He's got one that we left off the list. Hey, Sean.
Hey, you guys. I want to bring up the 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yep.
It was the best World Series I ever seen. And, that team had Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling on it. They had a combined wins of 43 wins that year. That team only went to 97 wins, but like you say, baseball is all about timing. Baseball is all about timing. Hitting's timing, how a team comes together timing. Dude, everyone get down on their knees and remember Amazing Grace, brother. Craig Counsell on the infield. And I was at the 97 Kingdome when Baltimore beat the Seattle Mariners. I was there at that game when Mike the Moose Messina beat Randy Johnson. And Curt Schilling pushed Randy Johnson to be who he is down in Arizona. He'd never be who he is without Curt Schilling, brother. And that team, when they beat Mo Rivera and Game 7 and Luis Gonzalez, had the walk-off, how cool is that? Nobody here in America thought Arizona was going to win that game on Game 7 in the 9th inning. Nobody thought that was ever going to happen. And I remember that was one of the best games I ever seen in my life.
So,
that
Sean,
took down the Empire.
You're right. This was a great team. You're right about that. You got Randy Johnson, you got Schilling. I mean, Johnson won 5 Cy Young, so I don't know if Schilling brought it out of him, but I get what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. The one thing about this team, though, it was like a little top. It was like boom or bust guys, not boom or bust. How do I put it? It's like either you're Randy Johnson or Kurt Schilling, or you're like a guy. So the guys who were on the stars that were on that team were amazing stars, but it wasn't littered with stars. But they did win. They beat the Yankees. They beat Mariano Rivera. Luis Gonzalez had the hit that will live on forever. And it was an excellent team.
Well, I think the lesson is you can have 2 amazing starting pitchers and win the World Series. We saw it obviously with the Nationals in 2019 with Scherzer and Strasburg when Strasburg was finally healthy. I'll bet you go through history, 2 starting pitchers could carry you. I think Bumgarner and I don't know if there was another pitcher behind him
Tim
on the Giants. Yeah, but was he good in the playoffs? Yeah, I mean, I don't know who the playoff stud was. But some guys are really good. Actually, their whole stud, they had Zito, too, at a certain point.
The Zito resilience was like one of the World Series.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think that you can win 2 starting pitchers is very powerful. You can't fault that Diamondback team. Luis Gonzalez is 57 homers, though. That's a little
57 when he drove in 142 runs.
That's a little sus. I mean,
but listen, we put a whole cheating team on this list. We're not going to start calling out people by name.
Well, I'm just saying he might have gotten 100 on the test when he should have probably gotten 85.
Well, he's also a World Series champ, so it might have been worth it. Okay, let's go to Ian. We were talking. He's in Oregon. We were talking before about. One bet is set. We're getting the details on the second bet, but one bet is set, and that is Perloff said that if Victor Wembanyama wins Rookie of the Year, he's going to drive from New York to San Antonio and presumably apologize.
I will
hold a sign up.
I will stand on the Riverwalk and say with a sign that says Wemby.
I was wrong.
I was wrong. I'll stand on one of those bridges on the Riverwalk.
Yeah.
And then I'll go. Get
a sandwich board, and then you go stuff your face with tacos and fly home.
You see, the visual will be me with a shirt that has cheese sauce from the chimichanga saying, Wemby, I was wrong. Do you think, does he hang out on the Riverwalk? I assume that's what you do in San Antonio.
Well, Ian, we were talking about whether Perloff would do this all in one sitting or if he would stop for the night. Ian, you've got a thought on road trips.
Yeah, hi. I love your show, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, well, actually, real quick, Perloff, did you bring up, I haven't heard the whole show, how about your Phillies 2008?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just a cut below these top 5 teams. They were really good and made another World Series, but it's so hard to get in this top 5.
I like that team more than Perloff liked that team.
Yeah, I was Ray Halladay and Roy Halladay. Yeah, it's pretty good club. Ryan Howard.
Roy Halladay threw a no-hitter in the playoffs. I mean, this was incredible. And then you had, I mean, as much as I despise him, Chase Utley, Pat Burrell, Shane Victorino, Jason Worth, of course, Jimmy Rollins. That's a good team.
Bunch of MVP, yeah.
And you had Brad Lidge, who had 41 saves that year.
Now, wait, I don't think they had.
Oh, they didn't have Halladay yet.
They didn't have Halladay. The perfect game came later.
Sorry, that was later. Apologies.
But they did. Hamels was hot that year. He was a really good pitcher.
Yeah.
This is what happened. You do this stuff off the top of your head.
I just had I had to pick up my daughter in San Diego, and we're driving home to Portland, so it's about 1,100 miles, and we wanted to do it all in one day, and we were doing fine. Stopped at In-N-Out Burger in Sacramento. Had some nice burgers, and then I had a lot to drink, and I'll try to keep the story as clean as I can. And we're driving north on I-5 to, we get just before Redding, and it says there's an accident on I-5. Well, little did we know it was going to be about 3 hours to go 2 miles, and I had just drank a bunch of soda.
Oh, no.
Ian, were there 2 accidents on I-5 that day?
Well, you know, I don't know. And my daughter's driving, and I can't get out because I don't want to get arrested for indecent exposure.
The public urination.
And guys would know this, right? And I just asked my daughter if she could, you know, forgive her father, but, you know, turn your head and, you know, I'll take care of some business and, you know, so anyway.
No, I'm cringing. I'm under the table.
Yeah. I know. Well, like I said, I mean, you know, kept it clean, and but it was a tough. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? So anyway, that was kind of our. And then, by the way, it was supposed to be a 14-hour trip, and we ended up being about 19 with that accident.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a long day.
Ian, that is an awful story.
Ian,
at least you made it home safe.
An awful story that I think a lot of listeners probably relate to. All I'm saying is there have been some trips where I'd be like, well, that's not Gatorade. Don't drink that bottle.
Oh, my God. Yuck. Oh, that's awful.
I did not need to hear that visual.
Hey, hold on one second. But the famous scene in Dumb and Dumber, right, where he's going in the empty beer bottles, which is like, you shouldn't be doing that. And then he keeps filling them up.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I don't think we can accurately gauge how much is coming out.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're in that situation.
Yeah.
Well, this is something that guys could do. Women have no access to this kind of thing, I would think.
No, but that's why you just got to, pop a squat.
Yeah, well, but have you ever been stuck in traffic like that where you can't just get out of the? I guess you could.
Thankfully, I have not encountered this. I suddenly realized.
Even as a kid, you never had to get off in a traffic jam?
Maybe as a kid.
Because like in the 70s and 80s, I remember there were kids getting off on the freeways all over the place.
Everyone just peeing
that
on
was
the
just
side of the road.
Yeah. That was no big deal when I was a little kid.
Is everyone peeing on the side of the road? I mean, I see people doing it.
If you're under 12, I think it's perfectly allowed.
Yeah.
A little dangerous.
A lot dangerous. Wow, that was
an odd turn.
Story.
I'm sorry. I thought
Sam
you guys
just told me to
I
break.
thought the guys over there would relate to me. I guess not.
No, I may or may not have. I just don't want to incriminate myself on national radio.
Yes. It didn't have to be on a burial site, Sam. Anyway, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Kidding. Okay. This is the one thing that we have not got to yet, the one thing no one's talking about. This is the big one. We'll do that next after this CBS Sports Update with Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flash.
Well, Victor Wembanyama's time in Vegas is reportedly over, with the Spurs shutting down their future star after 2 games. They apparently saw enough from the number 1 pick overall with his 27 points and 12 rebounds in his second appearance. One of the more fun events of the All-Star festivities, the Home Run Derby, which takes place tonight, and a hometown flavor with Julio Rodriguez, part of this year's field. He'll face Pete Alonso in the first round, with the Mets first baseman back after winning it in 2019 and 21. This time around, he's added a new twist. His childhood coach, Mike Friedline, will be the one throwing to him.
It's one of those things when you're a kid and you kind of just daydream and just hope, want, and wish something to happen. And now that it's here, and I've participated in a few, and I just wanted to keep good on my promise. So I'm really excited, and I know Mike's excited too.
Garrett Cole, the Yankees, and the Diamondbacks' Zach Gallen have been named the starters for tomorrow's All-Star game. Chris Eubanks has taken Wimbledon by storm. The unseeded American is through to the quarterfinals for the first time in a major after upsetting Stefano Tsitsipas in 5 sets. I'm Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, Sirius XM, Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Well, we got a little bit of clarity on what's going on with Dame Lillard of Portland and the Trailblazers. Their general manager, Cronin, what's his first name? Joe Cronin. Joe Cronin. Speaking to the media today, and obviously all eyes are on him after Dame has now officially asked for a trade to the Miami Heat. Here was the Blazers GM.
I think the teams that have ended up in the most positive situation post-trade have been the ones that have been really diligent and taken their time and not been impulsive. So I think that's how my approach has been with this and will be with this, is we're going to be patient. We're going to do what's best for our team, and we're going to see, how this lands. And if it takes months, it takes months.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of annoying because
why?
Well, I mean, listen, I saw enough in one game of Scoot Henderson as his team. Let's move Dame on, and I don't want to wait months. I want to see where he's going to play, Maggie.
Now, so I think here's a couple things with this. Number one, this is the exact right strategy to have. This is what Daryl Morey did with Ben Simmons, it was smart. He sat and waited and waited. He got Harden. I mean, it didn't get you any further in the playoffs than Ben Simmons did.
That's
but
why I smirked. I'm like, oh, great, we got Harden out of that mess.
No, you should have traded for Halliburton, but that's fine. Anyway, so you do want to wait on this. And let's think about it, right? Anytime a general manager talks into a microphone, they're sending a message to the fan base, but who else? The player?
Which player?
I would assume Dame.
Oh, telling him to be patient?
That, trying to set expectations a little bit. You're out here being public about it. And you're also talking to the rest of the other 29 teams in the NBA, saying, hey, guys, the offers aren't good enough. Yeah. Whatever you've been bringing me, trading Tyler Hero and blah, blah, blah for blah, it's not going to work. So don't even try to bring that stuff around because I'm not going to feel like I need to get this done.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think that's what he's doing.
He also said he hasn't really talked to the Heat at all, like barely any discussion. So I think this Heat thing might be a media thing. I know, Dame
asked to go to the Heat.
Yeah, I mean, you actually been pretty strong on this. If they do trade Dame to a team other than the Heat, there was a story last week when you were out where Dame's agent came out and said that he won't show up.
Yeah.
He won't be happy. I'm very curious if they do trade him to another team, will Dame follow up on that? You don't think so?
I would call his bluff on that 100 times out of 100. First of all, Dame obviously does care very much about what people think about him because I think he's wanted to stay in Portland this whole time because he wanted to be perceived as a very loyal guy who was not just going to be like all these other superstars who are asking for trades and trying to look for greener pastures. So clearly he cares a bit about his legacy. You have to continue to play basketball if you don't want that legacy to take a hit, just like Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I'm team, by the way, and we'll get into more later, Dame for Cat. Send Dame to Minnesota.
Oh,
for Cat. And Chris Haynes said it's not going to happen because of the money. But that's what I want, a big man to Portland and Dame to a team that's ready to win.
Do you say, I want to leave Portland, so send me to Minnesota?
No.
I don't know. If you're asking for Miami and you land in Minnesota. But see, the thing is, I think Dame likes basketball enough, and like Durant did, where he's not going to sit out. And I think even if he got traded somewhere, he's going to show up.
I think it'd be fun to throw passes to Anthony Edwards, have Gobert block shots. Boston's a great fit, but I do think that there has to be other options because Miami does not have a great trade package.
They really don't, and I'm curious how Blazers fans feel about this idea that Dame was so great to us. Do we just sort of make good on the trade request?
Yeah, I mean I don't agree with every other player is watching how Portland deals with this, and they're not going to sign with the Blazers if they don't treat Dame well because they're probably Portland's not a huge free agent destination anyway. They've been drafting really well, so that's how they're going to build.
Well, and that's another reason why they have to be super calculating about what they do with this Dame trade.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. My vacation also brought to you by Casamigos. And boy, was it great. Earlier in the show, we talked about the new show bet, guys. It's got nothing to do with food, but it looks like Perloff could be making a road trip. Perloff and I were just chatting about Victor Wembanyama. And you said, I would drive to San Antonio if he wins Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
In that you don't believe he's going to win Rookie of the Year.
I'm positive he's not going to win.
And you would drive to San Antonio.
I will drive. That's a bet I would easily take.
Can we make this a Texas two-step?
Yeah, what's your bet on this?
So I do not think the Cowboys will move on from Mike McCarthy or Dak Prescott. I would say almost under any circumstances.
Well, see, that's where I want to pin you because there's no way that's true. If they're 8-9, McCarthy is gone.
Under any circumstances. That's what I'll bet you.
If they have a losing record and McCarthy is back, I'll do 2 separate trips. I'll drive to San Antonio, drive back. But I'm not going to make either of these drives because I'm definitely winning these bets.
Feeling confident.
Well, it's going to be hard. The Cowboys bet is imperfect because we need them to get a certain record or a certain...
Not to me. I'll give you the field.
Okay.
I think no under...
All right, then I'll do this.
Yes.
If they have a losing record, and McCarthy comes back, I will drive. But if they have a winning record and McCarthy's not back, you have to drive to Texas, and you hate these long trips.
Wait, if they have a winning record,
well, basically, what's your side of the bet?
This is the bet. The side of the bet is I don't think Mike McCarthy's getting fired, and I don't think Dak Prescott is getting essentially fired.
Well, but Prescott can't get fired.
No.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So if one or both of them is not on the Cowboys in 2024, this is a long bet, but 2024, then you win the bet. If one of them is on the Cowboys or both on the Cowboys, then I win the bet.
Yeah, I don't want to do that because I think the Cowboys are going to be win 12 or 13 games.
Exactly. Nobody's going to get fired.
But here's the thing.
There's no reason to be feeling urgency for Dak because nothing's going to happen, just like it never happens.
No, if Dak tweaks his ankle and they go 6-10 or whatever, 6-11, sorry, there's no way McCarthy survives.
This is our bet. This is the bet. We have to figure out why we can't make the details work here, but
you want
somebody's
them to be
driving to Texas.
You want them to be 14-3 and win the Super Bowl. Be like, oh, look, I told you McCarthy's going to be back.
Exactly. That's the whole point about making the bet now before the season has started. Thank you to Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. We'll get this worked out. Thank you for the Weedos, the Purple Drankers. Thank you to the Hall of Famer Tom Glavine, to Jeff Nelson. Tune in tomorrow. We will do the top 5 greatest college football teams of all time.
You're in a 5-minute break.